Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Brad, you're walking on water. You are Beer Jesus.
I'm the Beer Jesus. I just want to say, this is probably one of the best experiences of my life.
For the last 7 years, Brad and I have been travelling the world hunting down the best breweries and beers, as well as searching out the most amazing places to enjoy them.
Drink it in!
We've met homebrewers in the Arctic to help judge at their beer competitions. We've witnessed the pure insanity of China's own Oktoberfest. We've got lost deep inside the mazes that make up Czechia's lager cellars. We've travelled halfway around the globe just to taste the best IPAs fresh at source, and lots more besides. These adventures have taught us amazing things about beer, brewing, people and the environment, and how they all come together to create a culture we've fallen in love with. So join us as we explore the world through the medium of beer. Meeting master brewers, digging into beer history, brewing collaborations, and trying to act sober against all the odds. Through our travel documentaries, beer school episodes and sofa sessions, we'll teach you everything you need to know to enjoy beer at its best and to appreciate the wonder that is the world's favourite alcoholic drink. We're here to show you that at the end of a long day, all you need is love and beer. Welcome to the Craft Beer Channel. It's Friday, it's 8 p.m, which means it's foam party time.
We're cracking beers, mate.
Woo! There we go. Everybody, welcome to the Craft Beer Channel. It's an absolute honour to be hosting one of my favourite breweries and indeed favourite people this evening in the one and only Reese of Donzoko. We've got a couple of house rules to get through, some announcements to make, and then we'll be bringing Reese on to drink through the delicious 6 beers that we're going to be trialling today. I hope you're drinking along at home if you got hold of the box. If you're not, I hope you've got some delicious beers, maybe some delicious lagers, ideally to drink, and obviously some snacks. And we want to hear in the comments what you are consuming this evening. Where should we start? We should start actually maybe by saying that this is not the only social happening in the next 7 days with the Craft Beer Channel, is it, Bradley?
That's very true, Johnny. We are doing Pressure Drop False Azure launch for our Love and Beer Festival, which is coming up in October. So next Friday, come join us down at Pressure Drop Brewery. They are generously giving away half pints, I think it is, Johnny said, a free pour of False Azure for everyone who comes down with us. So we'll be there. Come and join us from, was it about 7 p.m, did we say?
I reckon 7-ish. We're filming during the day at a secret location. Everybody knows what location that will be. Yeah. So once we've finished, we'll put some food in ourselves, and then we'll probably head over. So 7-ish, I'd say. Get yourself 7-ish. Some food. Come on over for lots of lovely West Coast IPA deliciousness. I mean, we'll talk about this glass, but is there any finer chalice to be pouring your first Friday beer into? Assuming it's your first, Bradley.
Well, I've already had a big foam, as I was saying.
Oh, yes, it is your second.
I ate a burger and some onion rings before, and I was feeling a bit lethargic. So I thought, what the hell was that? Some lager.
Alcohol. That famous depressant will burn you right up.
I needed it.
Great. Yeah. So there's a tiny chance that you folks haven't done one of our live shows before. So we'll quickly go through how it's going to work, some little rules, and obviously the drinking order, which we'll start with. So this evening, so you can get your beers lined up, we're going to be starting with the Northern Hellers, as you've already seen. We're then going to do the Big Foam Trilogy, so Big Foam, Bigger Foam, and Grand Cru. And then we're going to have a Radler, just slow down for a little bit.
A Radler for the Radler.
And then we're going to drink a big old Westie.
Nice.
So I'm very, very excited about that. In terms of how this is going to work, please do light up the comment section. Please do ask questions as we go through. We'll try and get to them. Any questions that we don't get to during the main thrust of the show, we'll come back for a Q&A at about 9:45. 9:45. We'll see how that goes. And we'll try and go back to them and you can ask them again. If there is a question you are dying to ask and dying for us to answer immediately, then you can use the super chat function in which you give a little donation to the Craft Beer channel, which goes into the running of the channel. And we will answer your question at the next socially acceptable moment. And that question could just be a shout out, could be a question, could be a comment. You could just throw insults at us. If you're paying us, you can say what you want, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. But it does hurt every time getting insult.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But can we? I've got a question.
Okay, are you going to give me a fiver for it, or?
No. I haven't got a fiver. Sorry. Sorry. But I do have half the screen. A beer festival, maybe not the next Love and Beer, because we're trying very hard to organise all of the beers as we speak. Can we please do a radler called the Bradler? That's maybe like a little sort of grapefruity radler, please. I very much enjoy that.
I give you full permission to go off and organise that.
Yeah,
I will deal with the logistics if you make it.
All right, Bradler, the Bradler.
Find yourself a brewery. You can maybe try and seduce Reese into brewing it for you this evening.
Okay.
To brew the Bradler.
He didn't look up at all when we just said that.
No, he's studiously looking down on the floor.
Smiling now. He's trying to ignore it.
If you haven't joined our Patreon, it is a way of supporting the channel. It starts at £2 a month. You get access to our incredible Discord forum full of just about the loveliest, most knowledgeable beer geeks in the world. Genuinely, it's the best thing we've ever done. With the internet essentially a bin fire these days, it only gets better and better by comparison. So please do join that. It is very, very much worth it. Hi to all of our Patrons and Discord fellow members. If by some huge oversight you haven't signed our petition to get Carscale UNESCO recognition, firstly, WTF. Secondly, the link is right here. It's tinyurl.com/save-cask. Please do go there and sign it. And if you know anybody who lives in Northern Ireland, send it to them, because there's one constituency in the whole of the United Kingdom that hasn't had a single signature. And it's basically as far west as you can get in Northern Ireland.
Damn.
So one day it's going to happen. We've got until the 1st of October to make that happen. That is about it, I think. Those are the announcements. Should we have a quick dig into the comments and then we'll get Reese on?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Let's see what people have to say. Somebody's on the Guden Carolus triple, so that's that could go south very quickly. Somebody's been drinking Dare all day. Could also go south quite quickly.
Blimey.
Somebody's drinking a homebrew Hefe. Good for you.
Nice.
Not enough Hefe in the world, homebrew or not. I don't know exactly what that is, but I think... Oh, good. Yeah, no, I do know what that is. That's a delicious Czech lager, 12 Plato. They're in Prague, I think. Kutnohorska, I think. If it's the beer I'm thinking of.
Sounds familiar.
Another home brewer drinking their own NZ pills. There you go. Look at all of this.
Nice.
Lucky you. Plug and Taps in Preston. Haven't come across that one. Sounds great. Anything else? Nice glass, not big enough. It's okay. We just top it up. We coal shit. It's all good. Right. Okay. Anybody else telling us what they're drinking? Somebody did the Hellas a little bit early, but now they've got Augustina.
Nice.
Maybe Reese can regale us with his Augustina pill story again in a minute. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for those comments. I think it's about time we brought Reese on. Do keep those comments flowing and those questions, and we'll dig into them as we go through. But welcome to the stage, Reese.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Reese, it's an absolute joy to have you. It's been too long since we've actually seen each other.
It's been a while.
Every time I think, oh, I wonder what Reese is up to, you seem to have moved to a different city and brought your brewery with you.
Yeah, it's very much just like me and my like bundle on a stick, moving breweries around the country to other countries and back again. But I think we're sticking around now, so I think we'll be in the Northeast for a while.
You found your forever home.
Well, if the landlord
Oh, okay.
keeps leasing us the unit, we're there forever. But if not, I'm back on the highway with a thumb out.
We'll pick you up. We'll bring you down to. How do you feel about Hertfordshire?
It sounds expensive, but it sounds good though. It's closer to where they grow the hops, so that's fine by me.
That's true. That's true.
The green hop is.
Yeah, well, before we dig into Northern Hellers, it would be great to hear the story of Donzoko and you, and where it came from, and how you've ended up in all these different cities and finally settled on Newcastle.
Yeah, so I went to Newcastle Uni. I did chemistry, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I was going to lots of good pubs like the Free Trade Inn, where I would later work, and then I was drinking a lot in Newcastle. And then I had the opportunity to move abroad for like a third year of my 4-year degree, and I had the choice of I chose Vermont, but it got they couldn't find anyone to swap, so they were like, "Do you want to go to Munich?" And I was like, "Okay." So in a different dimension, in another part of another universe, there's a Reese that went to Vermont and now is so rich, making hazy IPAs, lager in like 2015, and that let me. Yeah, I went to Munich. I was doing chemistry in Munich, working on actually making vaccines, like in a little lab, doing sugar chemistry, and then it was really hard. And I was like, everyone in the lab was like, always upset all the time, and like, it's like, this is not a job I want to do. So I got back to the UK after like a year and a half in Munich, drinking a lot of lagers, a lot of Augustiners, a lot of also like craft beers, like Stone and stuff. And then I moved back to Newcastle, quit my degree. Well, I passed it, but I quit, got 2-1. And then I asked the university, I was like, I want to open a brewery. Can you give me some money? And they said, yeah. They give me like £17,000 to open a brewery, which was no strings attached. Like, just like if you had a good business plan. And I guess I did. They give me 17 grand. So I bought some fermenters, some FVs. I put them in Hartlepool, which was halfway between where I was living in Middlesbrough, where I am right now, and in Newcastle, where I was selling the beer. In theory, that didn't exist yet. And I put their fermenters, like 2,000-litre tanks, well, one at the start, in a changing rooms outside of school, like an old PE changing rooms in a car park. And then I would brew at a local brewery called Cameron's, which is actually a big brewery.
Yeah.
They have a small test kit that was like 1,600 litres. I'd bring in my ingredients, my kind of weird German process. The brewers there were like, what you're doing, this makes no sense. And I'd brew Northern Helles, first beer I ever made commercially. And then I'd pump that into like 1,000-litre like bagging box almost. In the back of my van, I'd drive that to the car park, pumping out the car park into the tank, ferment it, lager it, sell it, which was hard because I didn't have any cans. I just had kegs of beer. No one had ever seen me before. They couldn't pronounce Donzoko. No one knew what Helles was really, or kind of the idea of like a lager, but with like a bit more going on, a bit more like a rustic and a bit more flavor. So it's really hard to sell. But where I was working the Free Trade Inn, took it on as a house line, and then just me working then like giving it to people, being like, instead of this wood bar, try this instead. And then like old Geordies started drinking it, and then they kind of like, we got through a few kegs, and then I could buy another tank, and then it kind of snowballed into another tank. And I did that right until lockdown. I had 60 hectoliters, so 6,000 liters worth of fermentation space in this PE changing rooms. And then lockdown hit, and I was like, I had a plan to move to Manchester, actually next to where Track were building their brewery at the time. So Cloudwater, Track, Balance, Sugarshot in that same trading estate. So I was good friends with the guys from Cloudwater. They were helping out quite a bit. And also the lads from Track. So and so I thought it was a great answer. And then the landlord about to sign the lease said, by the way, no tap room. So I was like, and the lockdown, that's pretty tough. Also, I don't know anyone in Manchester, so like no friends. So I just kept the lockdown and just kept in Hartlepool. And my friends at New Barnes Brewery, they were working at Beavertown at the time, and also the Colonel. They knew they were starting a brewery, and we got chatting actually after a Cloudwater live stream. You know, like Luce did those in the lockdown.
Yeah.
And like we kept on the live stream to like 4 a.m. getting drunker and drunker on like Cloudwater Imperial Stouts. And then we just like, why don't you're opening a brewery? You've got loads of space because you're just a brand new startup in a huge place. Why don't I bring my tanks and just brew in your kit? I'll pay half the rent. We'll go halves in a warehouse. And that's what we did. So for 3.5 years, I was in Edinburgh. I just up sticks, moved my tanks on the back of a truck to Edinburgh, set up there, and really like learnt my craft a lot more hands-on brewing. They have a very old, very big manual kit. So I did a lot of like just kind of brewing on evening, well, kind of weekends when they weren't busy, trying to sell it at the same time, which was I'm suddenly in another country. Everything's different, like kind of learning my trade. And then like you can be the best house guest in the world somewhere, but eventually you want your own place and they want you out also. So like we were like, it's about time that we like, it was amicable, but like about time they were growing into the space. I was growing out of it. So it was kind of like another blank state of like, what do I want to do? What's the brewery going to be? So I like got the map of the UK out and was like, where am I going to go? So I was settled on Sheffield. Manchester was on the card still. Sheffield was a big one because Sheffield's class. Big fan of Sheffield. The best pubs. And then ultimately, most of my beer was still going to Newcastle. And I think there's also like a real... Newcastle's great breweries, but a lot of great breweries that make specifically cask hazy pales. And no one was making lager but me. No one was kind of doing anything like really like keg only and a bit kind of different. So I thought that would be like the place for me, and I was looking for spaces. And then in the same week, I found a brew kit and I bought it online, sight unseen, from Vienna. I bought a brew pub in Austria, and then I found a unit. I dismantled the brew pub in Austria, and that's a whole different stressful story that involves financial crimes. I didn't commit. Yeah, and then I dismantled it, put it in the street.
Important clarification. You didn't break any laws. Everybody else did.
Well, I almost broke international law, but I didn't.
Interpol are after you.
Yeah. But the short story is basically that I bought this off the bank, which had taken off this man who didn't pay for this brew pub. He didn't keep the repayments up. Got a loan, dismantled everything, put it in the street. The guy from the auction house said he hadn't paid me. So it was a lot of money. So I rang my loan guy and was like, what's going on? He said, are you sitting down? I was like, yeah. And he went, well, the payment has been blocked by the UK Financial Crimes Authority because the Bank of Austria, who you're buying this kit off, is owned by another bank who didn't pull out of Russia when the war happened. So there's UK sanctions against this bank. So I told the man from the auction house, and he started running after me, and I ran away. And he had a little, like, you know, there's like hoverboards, but there's one wheel in the middle. And he was like chasing me down the streets of Vienna with the kit on the street. He was so angry. It wasn't my fault. So I was like so panicky. I went to the Prater, which is a theme park in the center of Vienna, and they have an amazing bar there called the Schweizer House.
Yeah, we've been there. Yeah.
Budvar, almost like slow pour Budvar. I had 7 of those. And then the next morning, I got a £60,000 Wonga loan to take the kit off the street and put it on the back of a truck. And then they drove it to the UK. And then they sent the first bill I got it refinanced and paid off the Wonga loan. But when I got the Wonga loan bill for like 1 week's worth of, I guess, borrowing the money, they sent me the bill. And also a part of the bill was a voucher for free like online like therapy with BetterHelp. And I was like, you know what?
Jesus.
I need that. I'm using that. So I rebuilt this brew pub in Newcastle. It's a really like unique kit. That's why I went all the way to Austria for it. It came with all the tanks, everything else, and we really decided to like build like our kind of forever home. So like do a lot of we consciously went smaller than we were to try and do a lot more through the tap room, a lot more locally, all in our own kegs, like to kind of build a sustainable model that wasn't based on like endless growth. A lot of breweries I've been friends with, I've brewed beer at, have like been chasing endless growth, and if anything slips on that kind of stairwell you're on, then you can cause massive problems. So we wanted to stay small, stay local, stay sustainable, and know our ceiling height. And instead of thinking, okay, how much more 1,000 liters of beer do you have to make a week? We can be like, okay, well, if we sell it through the tap room instead, make the tap room busier, we make the same amount of money without, and we can all have a go home at Friday instead of like working shifts and nights and employing 100 people. And so it's about like margin and like sustainability rather than like endless growth. So that was and focus on the beer really. So that was the kind of the old honest to it, and make a really nice tap room. And then we've been there for a year now, almost. Well, this weekend, the Boggs Bank holiday is a year since we opened, and it's going pretty good, which is nice. All the beers in the box have been obviously brewed there. Yeah, so that's the history of Donzoko in like 10 minutes.
It's an amazing history, because usually when you ask that question, it's like I worked in IT and I got bored, so I started homebrewing.
Yeah,
and now
the only other job I've had was Middlesbrough Domino's Pizza, and it doesn't pay very well.
Were you making the pizzas or were you delivering the pizzas?
Bit of both. I did like cause a company-wide policy change. Instead of ordering a taxi home from Middlesbrough Town Centre to my house, I would order a delivery to my house and then get in with the driver I was friends with. So I'd get home for the same price as a taxi, but have that money's worth of pizza. And then they Domino's PLC did like a rule that you weren't allowed to do that because of me.
But they were still making money from the pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just getting a free ride. But yeah, that's the only other job I've had. So really, like, I'm all on beer, making Hellas, selling Hellas.
That's great out of the box thinking, though, Reese. I must say that you know, no one in the history of Domino's around the world has done that. You were the guy that caused the policy change.
Exactly.
From your cheeky outsider thinking, man.
Yeah,
I'll drink to that. Excellent.
Cheers.
I hope if your beers ever end up on a home delivery service, that you'll allow your staff to order beer home and then jump in the
yeah, it should be, as long as it's not a bicycle. I think that's kind of safe. But
yeah,
you can just get in these guy's car and get a lift home, and then also have the food. That's perfect.
There you go. There you go. See, Luke knows it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I really feel like anybody that hasn't known a lot about Donzoko, A, just learned a lot, but B, I think they probably need to see the brew house that you're talking about, the tap room that you're talking about, because I think so much of what you do is, we talked about this in the promo of it, like there's an aesthetic to Donzoko, and I would say to you, Reese, that needs to be understood. So what I think we should do is
we need to crack the next beer before that.
If you'd given me 5 more seconds, then I'd have said, what we need to do is crack open the next beer and then do the brewery tour.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, the next beer is going to be the start of the trilogy. So while everybody grabs their big foams out of the fridge, can you tell us about the origin of Big Foam? We'll have a little taste and then we'll do the tour.
So, like, it kind of stems from, I guess, Northern Hellas, which is our flagship lager. A lot of the things I liked in that lager, a lot of the techniques I used to give it kind of a lot more personality and flavor. Things like using some local grains, things like using like a mixed fermentation acid culture in the brew house, things like a lot of good German hops. We just decided to turn those things up to like 11 and make a really weird rustic lager. So it's 20% spelled from a local farm. We deal directly with a farm in Germany, and its Hallertau Blanc hops are stupendously good. So we buy a lot of those every year, and there's quite a lot. It's like 7 grams per liter in this beer of Hallertau Blanc. And there's a lot of mixed fermentation beer that gets added in the brew house. So it doesn't end up in the final beer. There's no like bacteria or wild yeast in here, but it gets added to the mash and the boil for pH adjustment. Instead of using lactic acid, using like sour beer So that is an old German technique called Sauergut, which kind of adds flavor and complexity and a bit of tang and tartness to the final beer. Rather than, it's a bit like seasoning a beer with chicken stock rather than just water. You know what I mean? It has a vegetable stock. It has a bit more character than just straight lactic acid. So you get a bit of tang with it. You get some breadiness from the spelt, which also helps the head and the foam. You get a lot of kind of German hop character, a bit of white wininess, but it's also really bitter and smashable. Like, I love a bitter lager, and this is a very bitter lager. So
yeah, 7 grams per liter is wild, and you can tell on the aroma just that, and maybe the addition of that sort of sour brew, but just big lemon.
And so the Hallertau Blanc every year, obviously, we work with one single farm. So sometimes that harvest can be different. So this year it's a lot more kind of herbal. We've had the other years where it's been pure white wine. Some years where it's been like almost a bit catty. This year it's very herbal and a bit grapey. But that's work with agricultural products, and that's quite cool. Like,
yeah,
it should be a feature in wine. You think, oh, this is a really good vintage of this, or like this is an interesting vintage, because the weather's changed what's produced, where beer is often expected to be the same thing every year. Like, it's cool if you're using like a big showcase product that the weather can affect the what's in the can, and that's cool.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you drink, I was about to say drink as much as we do. When you drink as many great beers as we do, and as often, we're looking for complexity and variation. And so I love to hear stories of that, of, you know, people embracing it. I remember we were at The Alchemist, and it was the first time we'd really heard of that concept. Like he said, he goes out every year and he goes to these hop selections, and most of the breweries around him, they're rubbing the hops and trying to find the closest expression to what they want for their beer. And he's in there going, what is the wildest fucking Simcoe I can find this year?
Yeah.
And just trying every single lot and trying to find something that he's never found before in Simcoe. So like embracing that kind of seasonality is I think a powerful thing.
And I just love putting like names and faces to actual products instead of buying things from like a brewer's supply distributor. Like Janet Craggs grows the spelt in Sedgefield for this beer. Ludwig Locker farms the hops. The Locker family is like a really well-known hop farm, and it's a family business. Like, I'm going out to see him in 2 weeks' time. Just having those relationships with those growers and those farmers is kind of cool, even for a tiny brewery to be able to do that. Like us, I don't know. I think it's part of the magic of beer. We get to work with things which grow in the ground, turn them into something in a can, and see how those things intermingle. And that's part of the fun.
And is that the origin also of the Petit Blanc hop, which nobody else I think uses in the UK? Is that the same farm?
Yes. So we buy a lot of Petit Blanc, which is actually the main hop now in Northern Hellas is Petit Blanc. Petit Blanc and Perla. But yeah, it's it's such a beautiful hop. It's an really old French hop. He's the only farm in the world that grows it. And every year I'm like, how much can you give me? Like, of this hop? Because it smells like really herbaceous lavender, almost like cherry blossom some years. And it's really delicious, and I want to put it in every beer, but I've got to restrain myself. It goes into Northern Hellas. It goes into a few of the little ones. Donatello's Italian Pilsner has it in. Also, we do a single hop with it where we really cram like 7 gram a liter, same as Big Foam, and that's really expressive. And it's one of my favorite beers we've ever made. Is a single hop Petit Blanc Pils.
Yeah, I had that and it was beautiful. Yeah, really floral.
It was a banger.
Yeah. Right. Well, so we've got the Donzoko. We'll dig into the trilogy with the next beer. Let's do the brewery tour, because I'm certain there'll be some questions off of it. You went all out on this brewery tour. So when we do ones that aren't in the brewery live, we'll usually get like maybe a 3 or 4 minute slightly awkward tour. What we've got with you is it feels a little bit Wes Anderson in some of the vibe. And
it's not my first rodeo. If anyone follows me on Instagram, there's a lot of daft videos. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to people's reactions to this. So yeah, this is the brewery tour, and we'll be with you throughout, folks. But we'll let Reese do the talking.
Welcome to sunny Newcastle upon Tyne. I'll show you around the brewery. Come on in. So this is the heart of the brewery, our brew house. It's originally was made for a brew pub in Austria, a Russian guy owned the brew pub, and then when the war happened, he just disappeared, and I swooped in, bought it at auction, sight unseen, flew over to Vienna, and disassembled it, put it in the street for 3 days. It was just in the roads, and we reassembled the Austrian brew pub right back here in Newcastle upon Tyne, including this fabulous beast, which is our German-style brew kit. So, like, what is a German-style brew kit? I hear you ask in the comments. So, as opposed to an English-style brew kit, we only have 2 vessels. So, we have something called a mash kettle and something called a lauter tun. So, the start of the day, I'll come in, I'll put some malted barley in this auger, which an Archimedes screw. It travels it up, drops it into the mash kettle. So the mash kettle is just a big tub with a big stir in the bottom, like a big blades, hot water, and the malt mixed to make a nice porridge called the mash. That's then heated, which is different to an English style brew kit where it's one temperature, just like a regular like kind of storage pot. This is heated with steam to reach certain temperatures. That allows us to have super good control of the mash, get real nerdy with the grains to make a lager which is full in body, which is kind of rich in the right ways, which has good form, really allows us to be stable and consistent from year to year, from harvest to harvest, working with our farmers and our maltsters. Depending on the weather, obviously things change. Malt changes, we make the same beer. And then after the mash is completed, we do something called a decoction, which Reese from this morning will explain now. So one of the cool things we can do with our German-style brew kit is decoctions. So right now we're brewing Northern Helles, and a third of the grain of the mash is being boiled in the kettle. And although I'm stood way over there, I can smell when it's boiling just by the change from like bready sort of like malty, dusty notes into like super caramel bread crust flavors just from the malt boiling there. So let's see if I can switch it around. And that adds a lot of like complexity to otherwise like quite simple beers. It lets us use less types of grain and get like a much more rich, defined beer, more bready, a more delicious thing for free, other than the energy cost, which, hey-ho, cool. So we're back. And then that mash that we've done for an hour, maybe an hour and a half sometimes, gets transferred into this vessel called the lauter tun, which is a big bucket with a sieve in the bottom and big rakes which travel around, make sure everything's nice and mixed. That separates the liquids from the solids. The solids like get left behind, they get rinsed of all their goodness, and then they go to the cows. And the farmer, Billy, gives me chocolate bars in exchange for the grain, which is cool. So the liquid travels through this little guy here, through these pipes, underneath us, back into this first vessel. Then it gets boiled for an hour and a half sometimes, with hops for bitterness, to reduce off flavors, finesse caramelization. Then that gets transferred to the cellar. Another cool little feature is this mash paddle that I made for brewing. It's a traditional old German design for stirring grains, stirring in the mash. Just thought that was cool. But yeah, we're here in the cellar, which is the wort we've made in the previous step in the brew house gets transferred and turned into beer by the alchemy and magic of fermentation and cooling. So the hopped wort we've made from the kettle gets pumped through all this hard piping into this vessel, which is called the whirlpool. Just spins around, that hot wort spins around in there, goes in like tangentially, cool word, and the hops settle out. We do another hop addition in here for more kind of fresh aroma, especially in the hoppy beers you're drinking, like Edge of Town, like Big Form. Actually, has quite a lot of hops in. And then through thermophysics, it gets cooled by cool water. Cool water goes in, hot wort goes in, hot water comes out, cool wort comes out. With water and glycol, we force that temperature down to about 10 degrees. Then we transfer it into a fermenter. These fermentation tanks are 2,000 liters. So per brew, we make 1,000 liters of wort. So 2 days, we'll fill one tank. This wort then gets pitched with yeast. The yeast eat the sugar. The sugar then produces CO2, produces flavors, changes flavors, produces off flavors, and then takes the off flavors away. Really, it's a magic. Like, I'm a scientist by I guess trade, by education. No one understands yeast really. Yeast are magic beings. There's thousands of reactions that are taking place at the same time to make something delicious for you. So wild. But yeah, these tanks also, they during fermentation we cap it, so the CO2 being produced naturally carbonates the beer, which gives us, I think, a better form, a better body to the beer as well. Caps in a little bit of sulfur, which is important for our lagers to keep them tasting and smelling fresh as well. A little bit goes kind of a long way. Yeah, so it'll stay in the tank at fermentation temperature, which is about 10 degrees for about 2 weeks. And then we'll slowly ramp that down to 0 degrees, where it'll stay for anything between 4 to 10 weeks, depending on the beer, sometimes longer. We have a lot of tanks here that allows us to do a lot of different beers. I brew generally 4 times a week. I'm the only brewer here. And then 1 day a week's packaging. So yeah, we brew a lot of beers. We can afford to have things take as long as they take, which is a real luxury in a lot of breweries. We designed it so if we have a lager that takes 12 weeks, it takes 12 weeks. That's okay. There's no rush because we've got other tanks. Yeah, I'll show you more of the cellar now. So being quite a small brewery, it's a little bit kind of shitty for the environment. There's a lot of wastage compared to a big brewery. There's a lot of deliveries that get taken place here. So we try and make it as sustainable as possible, really. And the main way we're trying to do that, well, one of the main ways is by using our own keg fleet. So we have this keg washer, and we buy reconditioned German kegs. So this one is from Lohenbrau. We have ones from Spartan, one's from AB InBev, one's from Paulaner. All the German breweries. We've got one Augustina one, and that's the Primo keg. And then branded with Donzoko, and all the beer in the Northeast that we sell, which is in the tap room, which in all is about maybe 80% of our production goes in our own kegs, which is pretty cool. It gets so these kegs are end of life anyway. They've been reconditioned. Then we'll use them again for many years. Instead of single-use plastic, which is the alternative, we have our own steel kegs, which looks cooler. We have a lot more of them, and that goes to all the local bars, all the local restaurants, that makes me feel a bit better than using plastic, and that goes in the bin. And as you can see, lots of tanks. We can brew 28 times without needing to empty a tank, which is great because I hate cleaning tanks. But also, it just allows us to produce a big variety of beers for the tap room, for customers. And keeps me busy, which is nice. We got a small brew kit of only 10 hectoliter. There's a lot of scope to grow by brewing just more. Maybe brewing nights, brewing shifts. Who knows what the future holds? Okay. To the west. So maybe the least glamorous part of the brewery, but maybe the most important, is the warehouse, which is where we store all the beer before it goes out to sale. Also, breweries have a lot of stuff. We've got a canning line around the corner that we hide from customers when we're not open. We have all of our cases, all of our cans, empty cans, our packaging materials, all of our empty pallets, cleaning chemicals. We have so much stuff that you need to store, and the warehouse does that job. And the coolest thing about the warehouse, actually, is right underneath my feet, where I'm stood right now, is Hadrian's Wall. So the line, what the Romans made to separate England and Scotland, keep out the tribes of the Celts, I guess, is underneath my feet right now. Kind of runs left to right, just kind of over here. They found it next door, and then some historians came in and we kind of mapped out where it was. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, there's actually nothing in here, but when our landlord kicks us out in a few years, maybe I accidentally dig and find a cool Roman sword, and then they let us stay here forever. That's the dream I have. But yeah, this is my pride and joy, also my forklift. Sometimes when a brew's not going well, I'll just do some nice donuts in here, reel off some steam. It's a bit like the Fast and the Furious in the warehouse. So We've seen the beer be brewed, be fermented, be packaged, be warehoused, and sent out to you. All that's left to do is to check out the bar. Welcome to the tap room. We wanted to be like basically a brew pub, so a lot of our beer goes through this tap room. It's quite big. Get like 100 people in, which is quite cool. And we try and make it as weird as possible. So as you can see, there's a giant velvet curtain going from outlet Twin Peaks, which hides the warehouse. So when you're in here, you don't actually see all of the rubbish you just saw. And yeah, it's very homemade. So me and my dad built this bar. My mum did stained glass. All of the beer fonts are vintage. They're all from French eBay, and some of them are over 100 years old, which is pretty cool. I renovated them all, made them sure they all work. We have the saloon dolls, which are 130 years old. They're from an old cabinet, which is cool. We have a lot of the chairs are from Sunderland, Frankie and Benny's that closed down, and I got them for real cheap. So thank you, Frankie and Benny. We have takeaway fridge, like Merc area, little nooks and crannies you can sit in. We got obviously the bottles of flowers in. It's pretty cool. We just tried to make it as nice, feel as cozy as possible, hence the lighting. Or every chair but these stools have backrests. So there's lots of church pews with cushions, lots of actual chairs. We wanted to go not industrial because the space is quite industrial. We wanted to make it feel cozy, like you're in a pub. So where you can come and be a regular rather than it being like a tap room, like American sort of like industrial vibe. Wanted lots of wood, lots of soft furnishings, acoustic paneling for the sound, good speakers, really nice bar staff. And just a nice place you can come have 4, 5 packets of crisps, maybe 2 or 3 beers, have a great time. So yeah, that is the tap room. Back to you in the studio.
There we go, our roving reporter in the field. I forgot to mention, Reese, that there's a limit on what I can upload to StreamYard, so I had to shave literally like 20 seconds off of it.
They were the best 20 seconds as well. You skip there.
Which bit in particular? The microphone reference.
Yeah, and also at the end, I did realize the microphone wasn't turned on. I think I'd been drinking the beer too much, and it maybe like pressed it with my face, and it was just off. And that's why the sound was absolutely crap. But,
it was. We understood what you were saying, and we all saw the sign that said that vaping shite. So the important messages got through.
Yeah.
So apologies if anybody's wondering. Well, what is your usual microphone? Why was the glass the fix for your broken microphone?
So I bought like a twin pack of lapel mics, and the clip snapped on both of them. So now every time I want to use them, I've got to tape them to something that I hold.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy who holds a little microphone like this, because that's endemic now. Everyone does that now. Yeah.
I don't know why they feel they have to do that. Like, you just clip, unless they've all broken the clips, just clip it to your fucking shirt, people.
Well, maybe from now on, this is a cool microphone to have for interviewing people, but always full of beer.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do an interview. Just splash, 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 splash. Yeah, you'll have to think it through. So we haven't made it to the Donzoko brewery, but we fully intend to at some point in the near future. But it looks like a very unique and special place, and a very unique brewery as well.
Yeah, it's a weird place. We wanted to make somewhere where like you go in, you're like, what's going on in here? And then you get it after the second beer. You know what I mean? Like, be kind of like someone which is just kind of like you don't expect, if you know what I mean. Like, you don't expect to see like 8 4-meter long church pews and like stained
giant
glass.
red curtain.
Yeah, the big velvet red curtain was a bit like sort of David Lynch-esque or Wizard of Oz, maybe, like the sort of magic behind the velvet curtain. I like that.
But in the magic is just like 6 parts of malt which are unracking behind it.
You doing donuts on the forklift truck?
It legally is that's the size the tap room can be because of planning permission. So the curtain is very not arbitrary. You know what I mean? It segments it in a nice way, nice. And the sound as well sounds pretty important when you're in a big just like empty room. Like, the more just like soft things you can have, the better. So that it definitely helps with that. So even when you're in there and it's like just 1 or 2 tables on like a Thursday at 5 p.m., like it feels nice. It doesn't feel like you're in the warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I think craft beer or craft breweries got wrong for quite a long time, like not putting enough focus on where people would actually end up drinking.
Yeah. And also like I'm done with stools, man. Like I don't want to feel like I'm doing double science class, like bent over like a shrimp trying to enjoy a beer. I'm done. I want a backrest. I want some cushioning. God damn it. You know what I mean? I want a pillow.
Things that have never been referenced in brewery tours before, like backrests, Frankie and Benny's. Like we got the full gamut, and I agree on the backrest. I can only do maybe 2 pints without a backrest, I reckon, at my age.
We want to get people so comfy that they just can't leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's an interesting building. It was empty for 10 years when we got it, so it was just a lot of like just removing pigeons and putting in cushions. So that's all we did really, and then it's fine now. But the brew kit is like literally in the brewery. So if you could see there, like it's in the tap room. So like, although it might not be like the most expensive brew kit in the world, it looks really cool because it is literally just in the room and it's made of copper. So like,
yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
One day I was like, the shutters are up in summertime like that, and I was brewing, and like one day 2 different like Rajis walked past and went, "Hey mate, you doing Willy Wonka in there?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah," but like 2 people reference Willy Wonka in the same day, which is maybe the vibe that we accidentally ended up on.
Yeah,
Reese, can you explain what a Raji is, please?
A person who enjoys a few cans of beer at midday.
Ah, okay. I like the
character. You know what I mean? Just a Raji. I don't know how I'd refer to that sort of person outside of Newcastle.
Yeah.
Are they drinking Big Foam, or are they have other tastes?
Kestrel Super is a big one.
Kestrel? I don't even know Kestrel.
I used to drink Kestrel Super in uni, and it's just you buy a 4-pack. You can't drink 4 cans. It's impossible. Like I've got like 3, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. Like it's don't mess with the Kestrel. You never had Kestrel Super?
Never heard of it. Kestrel Super Challenge, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Wild.
Could be another live show format, Bradley.
Well done. No, thank you. No, thank you. 1 can each.
Right. So I think you've got some fans in the audience.
Johnny Hamilton. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Johnny.
Are you gonna take the bait? Are you gonna give Johnny what he wants to hear?
I was trying to give any other Northern Irish person I work with, but there's literally like 17 of them, so I don't know.
Trickier than it should be.
Yeah, Johnny comes top 5, I'd say.
At 17, you'd take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It's percentage wise. I'm sorry for
there's a mosquito that's just flown in. I'm gonna have to deal with him.
This sounds horrendous, by the way. I used to drink Snakebite when I was about 18. Look at that. Snakebite with Kestrel and K cider. K cider is awful stuff as well. I used to drink that with my Bristol punk mates when I went to visit. That is dirty stuff.
Yeah, it's a really rough too.
Yeah,
I used to drink one time I used to drink 3 Hammers cider that come in the big ball.
Wow.
That was pretty rough. Yeah. Universal. But
you've got a dissenter here, folks.
I mean, it was awesome when I was like 20, but I don't know. Isn't it about 8%? It's like absolute crazy juice. I think it's at least 8% K cider. I don't know.
Well, I mean, so's artisan cider generally. Depends on the sugar in the apple, but
yeah, I think there's more apples in actual cider than.
K. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure there is apple in K cider. I think that might be sugar then flavoring. But anyway, we didn't come here to talk about K cider.
I mean, I did. So.
Oh, did you? That's what.
I thought that's what this was.
The brief.
There we go. Then next month, right? Then next month. You got the K cider coming.
We are literally now just in the comments, just people giving their recipes for Snakebite. This is my god, Leffe Blonde and Old Rosie.
Oh man,
what? We used to do Newcastle Brown and Smirnoff Ice. That was a thing. That was pretty rough. It goes the worst colour you've ever seen as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it must be like grey meets brown, like
Yeah,
like
it looks
mud,
like West
river
Coast.
water.
Looks like hazy IPA from like 2000. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that was a dark phase for craft beer. Right, I think it's time we get on with this trilogy, folks. People seem to have a thirst today. I guess sometimes we do these on a Saturday and people are drinking a little bit less quickly, but it's a Friday. People have worked hard and they're ready for bigger foam. So before we dig into bigger foam, tell me about how did the trilogy come about? Why is the trilogy?
so we were getting used to the brewery. Well, I was getting used to the brewery and like making old recipes again, and also like I really focused on making a bigger range of beers. So like we'd been doing Northern Hellas the whole time, but like and a few other like specialty lagers, but you can't have a beer board for the local community, which has like 7 lagers on. So I've been developing different products like Donny's, which is a nitro dark beer, been like pale ales, West Coast IPAs, and I'd kind of forgotten about a most iconic beer, which was Big Foam, and I'd kind of been purposely putting it off because I wanted to make a big deal of it coming back and it being permanent. So when it did, I was like, I'll do Big Foam, but you know what? I'll contact some of my pals who make different beers to me, and we'll do different versions of it. So every year we go to the These Hills Festival in Lewis with the big people put on, and it's the best weekend of the year. It's so good. It was 2 weeks ago. Still thinking about it. So I got in touch with the guys at Robin, Danny and Mark at Beak, and we're like, let's brew a version of Big Foam. And I'd recently had their like, I can't remember what it's called. They did like single hop dippers with the hops they selected, like single hop ones, Wolves or something I think it was called. And I was like, why don't you choose the dry hops out of your selected hops from they go, but Ackerman selected them. I'll brew the base Big Foam has to be a bit stronger. You choose the dry hop because they'd had the beer before, they know what it's like. That what you think will go. So we settled with Idaho 7 and Citra that they chose. They're both like really expressive, lots of those hops. So yeah, we just brewed Big Foam and dry hopped it like a big bright IPA would be. So like, yeah, I don't get loads on the nose, but the taste is super saturated with like those kind of big, kind of pineapple-y, like grapefruit citra vibes.
I was about to say the opposite. I was like, this smells fucking amazing. Like really quite potent.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I got blocked nose. But usually when I taste this beer, I'm like, oh, it doesn't smell amazing. And then I taste it, I'm like, boom. It's a big kind of, big pineapple. And the reason we called it a lagered IPA is because we couldn't think of a better name for it because like, what's a bright IPA? I don't know what that is. What's a IPL? Like that there's orange things from like 2012 that's come to your mind.
Yeah.
That were called IPLs. A cold IPA is nonsense, not having any of that. And so it's just an IPA lager thing. So it's like lager fermentation, but basically just an IPA.
Yeah.
We also lowered the bitterness a little bit to let the hops shine a bit more.
I mean, I think it's a very beautiful beer. You know, it is saturated in loads of hop character, but it is so crisp and bright and zippy on the finish. I'd have expected those hops. How big was the dry hop?
In gram per liter, maybe like 16.
Yeah, so big.
So yeah.
You'd expect that to ruin the drinkability a little bit, you know, to have a bit of powderiness, a bit of greenness, but it's pretty lagery.
We also had the same, also the 7 gram a liter hot side. So
right, oh fuck, okay.
This beer is a waste of hops, but like
it's not though.
It's not. They're just
bordering on it, but it's not.
Like gram per liter in regular Big Foam, like there's probably the same amount of dry hops as like your favorite hazy IPAs. Sorry, the same amount of total hops used, but they're used in a different way to a different effect.
Yeah.
So like you get more bitterness, you get more like structure to the beer, you get more resin. You don't get those peachy pineapple flavors. So it's kind of used in a different way. So you've got the hops that have been used to make a lager to give you that kind of bitterness, that herbal character, but then also like the big flavors. So like you've got a lager which is hop like an IPA rather than like a the other way around, if you know what I mean.
An IPA that just happens to have been a lager yeast, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was it's fermented at 10 degrees, super cold. So that's what gives it the clean crispness. Yeah, it's a tasty beer. Big fan of it. It's been going very well at festivals as well, which is nice because
it has. Right, yeah.
usually like we're next to like I don't know Omnipolo or whatever, and like they're pouring like some crazy stuff with a huge line, and then we've got a Helles and a Pilsner on. So yeah, and usually they're the same price. So like one token. I'm like, okay, that's unfair. But yeah, this has been a good hoppy beer for us over summer. Because yeah, historically, not a hoppy beer sort of maker really. I'm an enjoyer of them, but not a Brit. I'm thinking about lagers all the time, not necessarily about those big hop flavors.
And why do you think that is? Is it like you enjoy the process of lager production more than ale production, or?
Yeah, I also know my strengths and weaknesses, and like I'd rather be laser focused on something like a bit more niche, a bit more like what I'm interested in, which is lagers. I love them, like I really love them, and like I like IPAs and pale ales, but like I'd rather being small and being a one-person production team. I want to be laser focused on what I'm good at, because like probably the reason I'm here right now is because people know me as the lager person, not that I do 10 things half-arsely. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that's bigger form is me tapping up people who know more about hops than I do.
Yep.
To steal things from them, because I get like we do a lot of collabs. We've done a lot of collabs in the past, and usually it's like they want to brew a lager, so like I'm sharing a lot of my knowledge, and I'm getting things about how to run a brewery and like how to build a brewery and like technical stuff about that and like logistical things back from it. But I've never brewed an IPA as a collab or anything really hoppy, so like this was a good like a learning curve for me as well, which is cool.
I think certainly if the comments are to be extrapolated out, there's going to be some demand for this kind of beer, and you'll have to come up with a wanky name that means nothing to anybody, like cold IPA and IPL and West Coast Pills, and just to explain what this is, because this could go places. I think it's great.
What I found really interesting, and now is speaking to a lot of US breweries. A lot of them are using lager yeast in West Coast IPAs now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just ahead of the curve. Maybe I'm just like blindly going the right way, picking hoppy lagers. Because yeah, what's the difference, right? Other than just a big bitterness.
I mean, the difference, I guess, probably is production speed for most breweries. They're like, it tastes great, but can we cope with a 4 or 5 week turnaround instead of a 3? But I love that. I really do. I wouldn't change a thing, and I don't say that about many beers. I think it's super.
And thanks to Beak for sending me the hops too. It's cool to like be in a brewery that doesn't produce a lot of hoppy beer. It's hard to get good hops. So usually I'm riding the coattails of people who have big contracts, and I'm just like, what can you spare me? What have you got that's like you got going spare this year? So you don't end up with like if you're buying just off general kind of what's available. Generally, you're getting like the things which have not been chosen,
which weren't selected. Yeah.
Yes, like which can be good things sometimes. You can look out. I've had amazing stuff, but really, you want stuff that is selected for being really expressive, and then getting to know what that flavor is so you can use it in the right way. So I guess this is a good example of like they knew those hops very well, those exact lots. They knew them inside out for different beers. I knew this beer inside out, so we put heads together. There's a good collaboration in that sort of way. I would use those hops as well. So we did like a multi-stage dry hop with cryo and regular, which was quite cool. All new to me, which is nice. It's bread and butter to most breweries, but you know.
Yeah, but it's really nice, A, to have those two worlds collide, but also just, you know, one of the great, I think, battles of craft beer going forward is going to be creating that individualism that you found in this beer. And to be fair, in quite a lot of your beers, but, you know, the breweries like Beak that really dig into the varieties, not just, you know, lots of breweries get to do selection, but Beak always seem to go that one step further in terms of their research and what they end up doing with it. And that's how breweries are going to stand out in a constricting market and where people are getting bored of the same flavors, or at least feel like there's not enough variation in it, that's going to be vital.
Yeah, especially when you're making a like predominantly hazy pale ales, where like everyone's doing that now, and actually a lot of them now are pretty good. You know what I mean? A lot of the days of people making like bad, lazy hazy IPAs is kind of like behind us a little bit, I think. But they're taking the level, which is cool.
I did when I did a blind taste test of, it was 20 different hazy IPAs, and the actual variation on show was not huge, and always the ones that were really great, I think it was the hop selection, the hop choices that was setting them apart, because most of the off flavors I got were bad hops, or I think hops that have been mistreated either in the brew house or in the actual beer itself. You know, it was always the hops that was letting people down, and it was the hops that was letting people shine. And that's probably not a surprising thing to say to a brewer, but I think drinkers don't think about it. They just go, "Oh, this one has Citra in," and expect it to taste like the other Citra. But peak Citra next to something bought on the spot market is a very different beast.
Which is a big reason why, going back to the lagers, we work with one farm in Germany, because like we hedge our bets with a lot of varieties. Some of them can be great. Some years we call it all in them, do another order. Some years like we'll try some of this hop. This year we tried some Comet, and it wasn't very good. So we're like, well, actually, because we bought it straight from the farm, it's pretty cheap, so we can afford to use that as just bittering for one special beer. We can use it not in the dry hops we thought of this core range beer this year. So yeah, we will like Northern Hellas might change hops next year. We'll see. If, for example, this is all late hop with Petit Blanc, if that harvest for whatever reason that year wasn't fantastic, we can change varieties and blend them to get the same flavor or a similar sort of quality of flavor. We're not beholden to like ancient recipes. If you've inherited the Paulaner like fortune and you've got to keep making Paulaner, it contains Tetnang, you can't be like, oh, actually guys, we're going to use Comet this year. You can't do that. You get sacked. So luckily we can do what we want, because it's my show. So
just had a quick comment from somebody saying which hops are in this. So you missed it. Was Idaho 7 and Citra, right?
Yeah, hot side Halto Blanc. So it's Big Foam, and then it's Citra and Idaho 7, both T90 and Cryo for both of them.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's stellar. I don't want to drink this quickly and move on to the next one, because it's good. I think this is stellar. Yeah, I
think a blind taster. So I think this might be stellar. Madry, actually. So
yeah, when I was doing some research into the history of American hop growing, I came across a reference to the fact that Coors did a test batch of Coors with Cascade. So at some point there was a Cascade Coors, which I'd have loved to have.
In the wild?
I think in the wild, yeah.
Wow. So. Imagine they're getting that. Just a 6-pack, cracking a 6-pack.
I mean, this was back in the 60s, so
wow.
Yeah, God knows what would have hit them.
There is some larger brewery or macro beers which I've had that have like knocked my socks off. Like the first, I've spoken to a few people who have tried the first ever batch of, it's not macro beer, but Hobgoblin Gold. When it came out in cask, right, was dry hopped with Nelson Sauvin, and it was absolutely amazing. It tastes like Thornbridge Kipling. And I'm speaking to maybe like 4 or 5 people throughout the years who've tried that first batch. And they're like, that beer was amazing for like 2 months. It was like the best beer when they first launched it, and then now it's like trash. But like, there was like one batch where there's like just someone really made a mistake or something.
Yeah, just a brewer he was quitting, so it was like, whoa, just found some Nelson that goes in.
Yeah. Nelson Hobgoblin, and it was unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, heady days.
I've forgotten what's happened with Witchwood now. Is it still? Did it go under and somebody bought it? Is it Witchwood? Something's happened with Hobgoblin. Something's gone wrong.
I think you just had a great idea there. We need to make videos where we just go and hack classic sort of cask ale, right? With like crazy hops.
Well, you mean like sneak into?
Well, an inside man.
Sneak into the Doom Bar Brewery and just throw a load of Chinook in or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it could be amazing. That could like be world changing.
Like,
there you go.
I did a tour of Harvey's last year, and year before last, and then I did a Harlequin beer with that new kind of Charles Farm hoppers, and it just tasted like straight up in the cellar, straight up strawberry juice. It was absolutely amazing. It was so hoppy, and I was like, this could be like, if you could make this all the time, I'd open a pub just to sell this one beer. It was so good. That like special yeast with that like really expressive hop.
Yeah,
blew my mind. Like, yeah, because there's so much good brewing that's taking place at these like huge breweries. Harvey's huge brewery, amazing brewery, but like with the kind of new cool English hops that are coming out, I'm pretty excited because a lot of them are also like kind of the same price as the older hops because they just do better in the fields.
Yep.
Like, for example, the Hallertau Blanc that's in big form is half the price of Tettnang because it is just a newer hop that does better in hot weather, and Germany's getting a lot of hot weather. So you got like a really old hop, which doesn't taste like, isn't super expressive, but it's very tasty. And the Hallertau Blanc, which is like a big juggernaut of like the Promans Nelson Sauvin. And it's literally like 11 euros a kilo, which is like, Stitra, for example, is 30, for the spot market, 28 pounds a kilo. So it's like a third of the price.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I've been banging the drum for these new varieties from Charles Farm for a long, long time. And I just had an article in the FT about it. But it's nice to hear a brewer having similar views to mine on it, because I think there's a lot of cynicism around these new varieties and how good they can or will be. But
I know you've had the Budvar, the beer on the tour, the Bock, fresh up Bock. I had one last year with that when I went there. Had Most, which is a variety that Charles Farm have developed.
Yeah, Jester and SARS, is it crossbreed? I think.
I'm not sure, but it was so good. It was that good that I went home and tried to brew that exact beer. And it's a taproom exclusive we have called Cellars. And the drawing is on the board is a drawing of the Budvar Cellars. Because they got word that we were brewers and they give us like a half-litre glass and also the sample tap. So we would just go into every...
Oh, you just go around with the pig's tail?
We had 6 half-litres, right? And there was like all the big dogs from Budvar were watching me like pour this beer.
Yeah.
And there's a video on my Instagram. I pour it and I was like, got the perfect head. I was like, I'm loving this. And then it started to overfill, so I like went to drink it, and the tap was just still going. And it was like the moment you're like, take the oh my god, this is the worst day of my life. But also actually simultaneously the best day of my life because I've had 5 half-litres of Bock in Budvar cellar.
Yeah, I mean, I think we tried that exact beer when we were there. Was that very start of 2023?
3? 4?
Oh god, I don't know now. But there were three of their 7.5% lagers, and there was Most, there was SARS, and there was another experimental hop which wasn't as good. The Most was brilliant. The SARS was so strawberry-esque and like strawberry laces. It was amazing.
It's also really sad. I had one of those beers in one of the pubs in Budovice, which was the one in the box, but it was filtered and pasteurized, and it was like tasting like a bad memory of something you once loved. It was very upsetting because it was like I had it 2 hours ago. It was so perfect. Then I had like this other version of it.
Yeah.
March 2023, we were there.
March 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it was another a new batch of that same beer, because I think they do make them annually. It's one of those experiences, and like I think people think that we're making it up or doing it for effect, but when you go to Pilsner Urquell or Budvar, that the drinking off the tap, that beer is the best beer in the world. There's no way of recreating that once it leaves that cellar. And
the 2 best beers I've maybe had in the last 5 years have both been Bocks poured in cellars. So the fresh up Bock in Budvar, and also Brauerei Hender that make the Monks and Backer beers. Stefan the brewer took us around. He does a Weihnachts Bock, like Christmas Bock, and he's really famous for doing like a light Bock for Christmas. And it's 7.5%. It's just hopped with Perla I think, and it is so beautiful. It's so tasty. And those 2 bocks being poured from a tank in different cellars around Europe. I was like, I've got to do my own one of these. So we brew a bock now for the brewery, and then we've got a little 6-hect tank. And it's a light bock with all English hops. And if you come around and I'm there looking really grumpy, I may pour you a little bock. You know what I mean? So I can repair the favor.
How feasible is it from just a logistical point of view to set up a brewery that is essentially the Budvar cellars? So you go up to the bar and there'll be a wall of those kind of tanks, and you just it's sort of what a tank bar is, but even a tank bar doesn't quite feel.
Yeah, it sounds like if you broke an owl in hops at night.
Yeah,
with a Zwickel, and you could just get your own beers. Yeah,
that's the brewery I'd open. That would be my USP. It's like
I'd only make bock. It's also crazy.
Like
usually a brewery too, especially a big brewery, you might get like 2 halves of beer to try. We had 5 half liters. Our tour guide was 15, and she couldn't drink beer. She knew everything about the beer. She was great. She was fantastic at her job, but she was like, "I can't
drink it at the end."
You just sort yourself out. How's that?
Couldn't be seen to be drinking it. She was probably Yeah, I mean, it's a magical experience. And honestly, anybody out there, if you haven't done a Budvar or a Pilsner Urquell tour, it is just seminal. It's amazing. Oh, there's Radim doing some weightlifting.
He doesn't need a forklift truck.
No, he's a strong man. I know Radim.
We had our tour with Radim, and he was taking us. I mean, we drank, I don't know how much in those cellars, but he was taking us to like try really young of the Tamavi, the dark, and all kinds of stuff. It was so interesting to taste it all at different ages.
We had the young dark beer. It only been lagering for like 2 weeks, and it was beautiful.
It was like as chocolatey as anything I've ever really tasted in liquid.
It was like almost like a kernel dark beer. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer that like lagering time is often used, like it's often fetishized. Like, we lager these beers for 12 weeks. It's better that way because it's like an easier thing to say marketing wise. But dark beers, I think lager for a short amount of time tastes delicious. So we do in winters, our second best selling product is a nitro dark lager called Donny's. Because no one in Newcastle brews a Guinness thing. They're like, I want to do a Guinness thing, but I want to do it Donzoko style. So we do a nitro dark lager, really simple recipe, cold lager fermentation, 2 weeks of lagering, and then we nitro it. And I've tried lagering it for longer. The beer does not get any better at all. In our light lagers, it does. But like the Donny's, 2 weeks, it's a 3-week beer. It tastes fantastic. And like I'm really proud of that beer now. Because there was that experience of having that really young dark beer. I was like, this is so chocolatey and like this is delicious. Why give it? Get out of the tank now.
Yeah.
Package it. Like, why would you lager it for more time other than to say to people, oh, it's lagered for 10 weeks. It's really fine beer. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, Budvar, I guess, have marketed themselves into a corner with that. Like they say, it's 3 months for every beer. But
if it's ready, it's ready.
Yeah.
If it's not ready, it takes longer. That's depends on the beer, depends on a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine with Budvar, it is slightly like it's an average of 3 months. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker.
It's summer.
In summer. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Right. Let's move on to what you said before we went live is the best one.
I think it's the best beer maybe we've ever made. I don't say that lightly because I usually hate all the beers that I make. It's very hard for me to tell the people that this is a good beer. But yeah,
we can do it for you if you struggle.
So we wanted a third beer to fill out the big foam range. I wanted something that was funky and delicious and more rustic. So this is a lager rustique, not a rustic lager, because somehow in French it sounds cooler. Good pals with Toby, who works at Bernard Sky, and also Mark and Claire from Bernard Sky. We had a few good times in Belgium a few years ago, and so I'm going to message Mark. Actually, Mark literally was like, "We want to make a beer," because he was visiting up the north anyway. And I had the idea for this beer, so it's a bit convoluted, but stick with me. So, Big Foam Grand Cru is we brew Big Foam regularly We used our batch of sour beers into the whirlpool and into the mash. I then also got given 2 kegs of Saison Provision from Burning Sky. Saison Provision went into the whirlpool. So the whirlpool's at 100 degrees. So we're adding 60 liters of beer into a 100-degree whirlpool. That kills everything that's alive in the Saison Provision. But all of the esters, all of the flavor, all of the acidity, which is key, transfers into the wort. So the wort going into tank, and wort usually tastes like weird cardboard. It's bad. It tastes like Saison Provision going into the tank. And then we cold fermented it with lager yeast, a variety of Brettanomyces, which is often found in Berliner Weisse. So it produces a little bit of acidity, but it is very subtle, very peachy and apricot-y. We also then, at pitching, did a Nelson Sauvin with the yeast. And I like always when there's yeast and hop interaction, whether that's with regular yeast or especially with Brettanomyces, it can create cool flavors that didn't exist before. So we had some really good Nelson we got from Eggers Farm. That went in at pitching, a small amount, with the Brett, with the Nelson, with this weird Saison Provision wort that we had, with obviously the hops that were in regular big form. This beer cost a fortune to make. But, the goal was to end up with something which was peachy, apricot-y, easy drinking, had Brettanomyces character, but was not a sour, like acetic, like farmhouse ale, I guess you could call it. And I think the one time we set out to make a beer and we got what I wanted was quite cool. So it's a 3 months Grain to Glass beer. We brewed this in April, but it was ready after 3 months. And yeah, like I get loads of peaches and strawberries, apricots, the kind of same lager drinkability, but with the complexity of like a Brett beer or something that is like, yeah, fully mixed fermentation.
So the aroma of that, not quite the flavor, but the aroma of that reminds me of when I first started working for Cave Direct and we went to Cantillon for the first time to pick up some beer. And actually, I don't think this moment's on video, but we filmed that trip. And when we got there, Jean Van Roy was there. And he, as like basically his job whenever there's a beer release for the distros is to welcome people and give them a sample of something special before they take their beer away. And he had some Fafoon that was too young, and he kept saying, it's too young, it's not fully carbonated. But I think he'd run out of other cool shit to give people. So he was like, here's some really young Fafoon. And that's kind of what this tastes like subtle Brett, loads of apricot, that kind of hay and that kind of pastoral thing that Lambic has. It's just a beautiful aroma.
Yeah, it's like it's what I'm drinking in the tap room. Like apart from one glass of this, and like usually when I finish work, and it's like smelling it. It's just I love that aroma, that kind of like vinous kind of like grapey thing, but with the kind of like round fruit flavors. Consider it contains no fruit. A very, very small dry hop. All those flavors are from yeast, which is, I think, super cool. Like they're all made by a living thing rather than like adding ingredients. Like you could probably make this beer by adding fruit and get something where it's just pretty close. Everything had the kernel beers as an apricot. This year's one is amazing, by the way. If anyone sees that beer out there, it's out there now and about. Please purchase them. It's so good. But it's got a similar apricot flavor. Theirs is dialed up. But it's amazing that I've never seen the fruit before. Yeah. And it is weird, actually. Someone said in the comments, like, both these breweries are from, like, 10 miles from each other, pretty much. So you can walk from one to the other.
Yeah, you could.
And really Sussex on the big form.
It's such radically different. I mean, Sussex is so lucky. You got Harvey's Beak, Burning Sky, and Abyss are going from strength to strength as well, really growing. And Unbarred doing a great job in Brighton. Like, there's not many more sort of rural parts of the UK as lucky as that.
No,
so
it's also beautiful around there.
Yeah,
and really good pubs too.
Yeah, when I was looking to leave London, we looked around there, but couldn't quite stretch to Rye or to Lewis. Yeah,
Reece Benny. But
Really spenny. But you taste that and go, maybe I should have stumped up the cash. It's a stunning, really unusual beer. And I think what's really nice is that across all three of the trilogy, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I didn't know they were all big foams, I'd be like, well, these are clearly big foams. But there is a thread between them all, which I think is broadly like how these beers finish. There is that kind of rustic, spelty, crispy, lactic, lagery thing that the big foam and the bitterness as well, I should say. That is big
on the flip side of it, I was amazed that like having basically the same word stream going three ways, we've got like three vastly different beers. Like this is exactly the same word, other than the provision as regular big foam, because it finishes so dry, it gets to 6%, even though it's the same starting gravity. So I don't know. It's quite cool that like it goes to show you when you try and clone a beer or you try and copy someone else's beer, you can't do it because there's so many factors. Like this is the same word three ways, and there's three completely different beers.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Like there's so many factors that go into something, from the shape of your tanks, into the yeast you use, the hops you use, the fermentation temperature. There's a lot of things in there that give you your fingerprint in the one beer. I think our fingerprint is in these three beers, but we tried to make them as different as possible while retaining our kind of like stamp on it.
Yep. Yeah, you've done a marvelous job. I absolutely love all three of these, and I wish we had more cans of them so that I could go back and try them again. Like there's so much surprising stuff. So he's just done that, which made me laugh.
Yeah, the dog swimming in it as well. Needs more dog.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, I think they're magic. And I think, you know, people used to lose their minds about Cloudwater V1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the real V1, V2, V3. You know, this is
the lager V1, V2, V3. It's really hard to get people excited about like lager because it's almost seen as a commodity product. Like, oh, what lager have you got? Or I heard you're the lager guy, but like these are all lagers, 100% lager fermentation, lager pitch rates, pilsner malt decoction on all the beers I've had so far are decocted. But they're very different. So yeah, these are kind of like, this is probably the most esoteric lager maybe anyone's ever made, which is quite cool. It's definitely the most process heavy. It's kind of like the jump in the shark of what a lager can be.
Yeah.
But I think if it maintains that drinkability and that like you can do a pint of it and think, oh, maybe I'll get another one, then it is a lager for me. Even a Doppelbock, like a big Doppelbock, you finish a liter of Doppelbock and like sometimes you're like, oh, maybe if you ever go to the Starkbier site in the Strong Beer Festival in Lent in Germany, like they do in the Nockerberg, they do liter glasses of Doppelbock, which is often 8%, which I think is like that's equivalent of like 4 pints of 4% beer. And you think, oh, my train's coming in 30 minutes. I might just get one more beer. That's like saying my train's coming in 30 minutes. I'll have 4 more pints, please. You wouldn't do it, but because it's so drinkable, you can. And I think that's the essence of lager is drinkability, no matter what like weird stuff you're doing to it. If it's drinkable, if it's delicious, then you can. That's fine.
I mean, firstly, I've done that. I've been to Starkbier Fest 2 or 3. I think there's video evidence on the channel. It's a dangerous place because of exactly that. It's like one more, which is 4 more. And yeah, the worst hangover I've ever had. I vomited in front of the head of export for Paul Arner in the morning. I've forgotten where I was going with that. Sorry. So two things. One is it's really interesting to hear a great lager producer to some extent define lager as drinkability. Because I think I've had a lot of conversations with lager brewers and ale brewers who slightly I think slightly recoil from that idea that lager is just about drinkability, because obviously, and this was the second thing that I picked up on in what you said, they're having this constant fight to say that lager is not a commodity, it's not the crispy little thing that you drink when your palate's tired. It is something that is beautiful and unique and nuanced in and of itself. And so lager has this struggle because if you drink good lager, it has to be both those things, right?
Yeah, and having both bases covered is the permanent battle we face. Is like we want to make Big Foam the weirdest lager you've had, which is still a lager. Like we can do something that's 100 IBU and it's hopped like Pliny. That is a lager technically, but like you would not have 3 pints of it. But the same ABV, something that was like judiciously hopped with a nice fine aroma, a really satisfying bitterness, and a really dry body. You could, with the same ABV, you could have 3 or 4 of them. You know, no problem. That's the essence of lager. Is that kind of like repeatability, and that's very strong. Like I often my lagers on like people often say at the bottom of the second pint, what are you thinking about that beer? Because the first sip of any beer can be like, wow, that's amazing, that's so refreshing. But at the end of the second one, how you looking at the board for what else is on? With a lager, usually you're not. You're like, I have the same thing. That was pretty good actually.
Yeah, it sort of sucks you in. You just get stuck in that pattern.
Can I ask you?
Oh,
sorry. Can I ask you a really silly question, Reese? Which is just, what is your favorite lager? Is it Augustina? Because there's a lot of Augustina going on in your chat.
Originally, so Northern Hellas is based on my idea of what this beer tastes like. I've been since, and it's not been the same. They've changed brewers. But in Munich, there's the Paulaner brew pub, and they used to make a Zwickel, which was an unfiltered Helles, and it was beautiful. It was like an unfiltered lager, which was like as hoppy, especially after you're drinking no IPAs. It was as hoppy as anything like you'd like. It was almost like a citrusy sort of like plays pleasantly herbal hop character. It was as drinkable as you'd like. It was almost like it could be a pale ale if you wanted it to be a pale ale. It could be just a smashable lager if you wanted it to be that. It was a few different things depending on the mood you're in. And I was like, I want to make that beer. I want to make a lager which is crushable if you don't nothing. If you're an old Geordie at the Free Trade Inn, you can drink 4 or 5 pints of it. But if you are tuned into a live stream on a Friday night, you can also sniff that beer and be like, this is really interesting. This part of it is cool. This part of it's cool. Before I know the can's gone. And I think like balancing those two things is what that beer did, that Paulaner Zwickel. I've had it since and it's been like not as good, but hey ho. But the one lager in the world, which is the best lager I've ever had, and I've been multiple times to check it, it's okay, is the Monksambaka Hell. They do Monksambaka lager. They do a lager and an export. I don't know why they call it an export because it's lower ABV than the regular lager. And also they don't export outside the village they're in. So it's a magical brewery about half an hour outside of Bamberg. If you go on their website, they've got about this much about the beer and a whole page about the family of storks that live on the roof, like the bird. And that's how you know that they know their stuff. You go in, Stefan the brewer is working behind the tap room. His wife, I believe, does the food. His daughter works in the tap room. His son works for like Schlenkerla because he's not ready to take the reins yet of the family brewery. And it is the best lager. It doesn't travel because the bottles, I think, aren't purged properly. They're just filled with beer and sent out like milk to the local area, like 500 cases in that village. But the beer on Gravity Keg in their tap room is the best lager in the world. And I'll fight anyone who says it's not. It's so good. It's so simple, so beautiful. Every time I go, it's the same thing. So,
how'd you get there? Is there a train, did you say? There's no direct flights to this village. Bus, okay.
If you're lucky, someone who in the brewery will give you a lift back to Bamberg, which has happened a few times. I left my power bank in the boot of the car that was riding in, that was going back to Bamberg from someone, from Stefan's son. But it is a beautiful brewery. And their old brew kit is a children's play area in the beer garden. So you're like, there's a kid popping out of like an old kettle. It's quite cute. But it's a beautiful brewery. The beers are amazing, but you have to go there. The bottles, it's got like a weird cheeky monk on it. The bottles don't taste good. They don't travel very well, but the beers are fantastic.
Did you say winky or a cheeky?
No, it's a cheekier monk than the simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a monk, remember,
I
Bradley.
know it's pretty monkey though. He's pretty monkey.
He's an alderman, I believe, is the story they give, so that the
They don't
West
get.
veteran doesn't get annoyed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people that watch Craft Beer Channel regularly will know that it's been on our list to make a documentary about essentially like that lager triangle of Bamberg, Munich, Pilsen, because there's so much history and obviously so much great beer there. It will be done. Essentially, Keep Cask Alive keeps dragging us back in and taking up our time. But once that is done, the lager documentary will happen, and that's another one we'll add to the list to visit.
Bamberg is so special because every village has its own brewery, and the breweries are so full of personality. So the other direction from Monks and Bach is a brewery called Noblach, and a brewery called Schrammelsdorf. And I went to Bamberg. I stayed in a horse riding school on the back of Noblach so I could drink more Noblach beer. I got bitten to death by horseflies. Worth it. Because the Noblach beer is inexplicably about 70 IBU. It is the most bitter lager you've ever had in your life. And it's served in stone mugs. And it is so delicious and so hard to drink. But it is so special because he likes it that way. And we went after like 7 days of being there, the brewer was like, "Would you like a tour in German?" And I was like, "Yes," in my pidgin German. And he was like, pointing to the brewery. I was like, "Brewery." Danke. And it's just his show. And that's what I model our brewery off is like, you come to our lager brewery and you have the brewery, the beers, the lagers brewed in kind of my style. That is so like a lot of our style descriptors, like Northern Helles is not really a Helles. It's just the word we chose. It's like what I like to drink as an everyday lager. The big form is what I like to drink as like equivalent of like a Pilsner. Just because if we all brewed the same thing, it'd be so boring. And a lot of like lager breweries just like, oh, we'll do a Helles. A Helles recipe is this. It has to taste like this. Like, it tastes like Augustina. Whereas if you want Augustina, you can just go buy Augustina. Like, I want to taste what your personality is. And that's what I'm constantly fighting with. Like, there's very few lager breweries that have like a strong personality to the beer that isn't just them brewing to style. Brewery have great personality to the beers. A lot of their beers are like similar to the Marsbrau beers. They're very delicious. Lost and Grand obviously have some like Keller Pils is fantastic. But yeah, when I go to a lager brewery, I don't just want to taste the same beers that I can have from any other good importer or good pub nowadays.
It's super true. When I go to a hazy IPA producer, I know exactly what I want to get from them, to some extent. Like maybe some slightly different hop aromas or that kind of thing, but I know what I want. Whereas you're right, when I go to a lager brewery, I want to be... I don't want to know what to expect, I guess.
Yeah.
I want it to be something completely individual.
We think about, when we think about iconic lager producers, the ones who are individual, even like Jever, which is like their own special weird bitterness going on. Pilsner Urquell with its nice little kind of fingerprint. Budvar with its like super clean classic Czech flavors. Like those kind of iconic producers have their own thing going on and their own philosophies. And I want to, even if I don't like it, if it's not to my taste, I respect it. I'm like, cool, they like their beer that way. I might not, but I'm glad they're doing that, not just trying to like please everyone, because you can't do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, even in the Big Six of Munich, like the one that everybody talks about and stands out is Augustina, and that's got that kind of slightly sulfuric funk to it that I think just means that everybody can recognize that beer as separate to the Paulaner, the Spartans, which are all much more in a type.
I'm going to nip to the bathroom, but before I go, big tip for everyone: Oktoberfest is coming up. On the subject of the Big Six, Spartan Oktoberfest is the best Oktoberfest. I've been Oktoberfest 4 times now. Every time, Spartan is the number one. It's the hoppiest. It's the most delicious. The one everyone overlooks. It is so good. Please buy some Spartan Oktoberfest and try it. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Go pee. I'm trying to remember where Spartan came in the blind taste test that I did of the Big Six Oktoberfests.
Wasn't it the bottom? It was pretty low, wasn't it?
No, I think Löwenbräu came.
Oh, maybe,
Brewery, I should say, came bottom, I think. I don't know. I'll look that up. But equally, obviously, then fresh on the day there is also a very different experience to what it's going to be like in bottle once it's been muled to the UK, especially if it's got a higher hopping rate. Right, we are all going to take a quick toilet break. We're going to show you a quick advert for our festival, just in case you haven't got your tickets, and we'll be back in 1 minute and 20 seconds. See you then.
Hey Beer Geeks, Love and Beer is back, and this year it's going to be bigger than ever with a new venue, new beers, but the same vibes.
Welcome to Love and Beer 2025. On Friday, the 17th of October,
we're headed to Hackneywick's Beer Merchants Tap
for 8 hours of proper pints,
big laughs, and even bigger flavours.
just one session from 3 p.m. till 11 p.m.
One ticket at £25.
We are bringing back homebrew.
Some of the best homemade beer in the country and suppliers of the ingredients that you know and love will be exhibiting again.
Free bottle shares, banging food, custom merch.
Included in the ticket price are homebrew taster vouchers, a tote, and of course, a bespoke glass designed by Brad.
This year is all in one epic session.
No FOMO. Come early, stay late, drink everything you can get your hands on,
Or responsibly, obviously.
and have exactly the day that you want to.
Expect collabs, chaos, community.
And a tap room full of people who love beer nearly as much as you do.
Tickets are just £25,
And they're on sale now.
so grab them before they go.
Love and Beer.
Who wouldn't want to come?
I know, right? It looks amazing.
How have we not already sold out?
a
And
good
I
question.
can reveal, although after Reese's statement just before we played that advert, this is not quite the mic drop I was hoping it would be, but we will have Paulaner Oktoberfest from Fonfass
Nice.
at the festival for you folks to drink. So from the party barrels, I think as they call them in a very typically German way, like party barrel.
Americans have called them a stitch fass. So like a lot of American-owned breweries, like we're opening a stitch fass, which sounds really cool, but it's completely made up by Americans. It's not really.
Is it?
Yeah.
Also a very American thing to do.
Yeah. It's a cool name.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So we've got 2 more beers to get through. I realized that technically our Q&A is supposed to start in 6 minutes, but we all knew that was going to happen. So nobody is surprised, except maybe Reese. So what are we doing? We're doing Radler, folks. We're going to have a Radler next. So I absolutely love this label, everything about it. And I feel like there's some really nice soft touches to it, but it does feel like I'm holding some washing up liquid
Yeah.
from the 80s. Yeah, is
Yeah.
that what you were going for?
That was big on the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's again amazing, like I said, like you kind of know that it's Donzoko Big Foam, but it doesn't taste anything like it. Like all of your labels also have that vibe. Like they're all obviously Donzoko, but they're all so different. And this is another one that just
And you know
somehow
what?
not part of the aesthetic, but is.
That's a good friend, Sean, who when I first started brewing, it was just a pal anyway. He was working at Brewdog in Newcastle, and it's now just a great, fantastic graphic designer. He does all our design. But yeah, the Radler, I don't know. I was kind of sick of like a certain Radler beginning with Schofferhofer that was everywhere, which is actually made by Dr. Oetker, the same pizza guy. And there's loads of artificial stuff in a lot of Radlers. I wanted to make a beer Radler thing, which was completely natural. So we wanted the ingredients of this beer are water, barley, wheat, lemon, and that's it. We wanted something super dry, actually a bit of citric acid. So it's super dry, super refreshing, and whole lemons in it that didn't have colorants in, didn't have sweeteners in, didn't have sugar in, wasn't pasteurized, was just a really smashable lemon thing, almost like an alternative to a soft drink.
It's Robinson's fruit and barley, isn't it? But like
Robinson's
amazing.
barley for sure. So this
brilliant.
is our base one. We also do like different versions, but like it's we call it real fruit Radler. It's like a real smashable alternative to a soft drink or a beer in between them both. And really, it's kind of a more natural version of a soda because it's naturally carbonated. We don't even add CO2. We don't add any sugars. It's just grains and fruit, and that's it. Whole fruits with the peels and all. We just blitz them all up. and add them in, and it's a radler.
I love a
Wait.
radler.
So sorry. The process is you brew a beer and then just throw in smashed up lemon.
Yeah, we buy them. Actually, it gets done by a factory. It's called communute, which is whole lemons that are blitzed up with a pith, with a peel, everything.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool way of processing fruit. So you have the flavor from the oils, from the skin, the bitterness from the pith, and also the juice flavor. If you just use juice, you just get kind of a weird acidity. If you use the oils, you just get like a fake lemon flavor without the tartness. Just whole lemons. And we did this as the base one. And then we did a yuzu one. We've got a few coming up. We got a sour cherry one coming in. We got I want to do a dark fruits one before the winter's done. So it's kind of, there's like a peach and basil one I want to do. So just kind of like flavorful alternative to soft drinks.
Can you do lemon and basil, please? That's a good combo.
Basil's hard because if it's not fresh, it tastes like bad. So I have to buy loads of those like growing plants in Tesco.
They never last though. I've always killed those plants within about a week.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. But as you see people on like TikTok who've got like giant basil trees, and I love basil so much, I'd be eating that like a giraffe. I'd be walking past just like my tongue out, grabbing leaves or branches of basil. It's so good. It's the best herb. And it's so good.
I'm actually literally a meter from where I'm sat, just outside the brewery now, growing San Marzano tomatoes and basil. So I'm basically growing a pizza. I need to plant some wheat next to it. Then I've got a pizza box.
It's a bit like that YouTube channel, How to Make Everything. Ever seen that guy?
No.
He just like if his first video was like, I'm going to do a sandwich, but it was like, I'm going to plant the wheat to make the bread. I'm going to get the yeast to make the bread. I'm going to grow a pig to make the ham. I'm going to like, everything was like, I'm going to, what does it do to do everything to make a sandwich? And it was like a 30-part video series. But he's done everything. He's done beer as well. He's made his own beer from like everything. Great, like farming to brewing.
Yeah. Oh, I think I have seen that actually. Yeah, thinking about it. I think I have seen that. I mean, it would be the eventual dream of the craft beer channel to be able to follow that story fully. We've done it obviously on a commercial scale and followed farmers through, but yeah, to do it ourselves would be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, in your own garden, make your own beer.
There you go. I mean, my garden's not big enough, I don't think, to grow enough. I could grow enough hops for a batch. I don't think I could grow enough grain. So I need to buy a bigger house, and you all need to join Patreon, everybody. And then I'll grow my own grain. Sorry, Brad, I think you flashed up a comment and then I took it over.
Yeah. There's a few good ones coming in. I genuinely think this is bloody amazing. It is a great palate cleanser, which is what I was going to say. It's really cut through everything and kind of like formulated my palate. It's great.
Someone says not a beer, and it's not a beer. It's a radler. You know what I mean? It's its own thing. It fills its own niche. When I finish work sometimes, and I want something that isn't just like a Schweppes lemonade, but I want to drink a beer. Maybe I've got some other things to do. That's where a radler comes in, and I want something that's like lemony, fizzy, like got something going on, which isn't just a soda. There's no hops in this beer at all. There's nothing at all.
It's fantastic. I love a radler, as Johnny will attest to. And the thing about a lot of radlers is commercial ones. They're like kind of like you say, they're like a pop, aren't they? Like a fizzy pop. So there's a lot of stuff that feels very artificial, but this almost feels like could be one of my 5 a day. I feel like I could run like about half a mile after I drink one of these. It's like giving me isotonic Superman healing powers potentially. Tastes good for you.
And there's a fine line between like lemon floor cleaner and lemon drink, and I think just by using natural things, that's what ticks the boxes, right? I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Always natural is, I think, usually better. Other than like Dr. Pepper, which is its own thing. Like you can't naturally make Dr. Pepper, but that's fine. It's like PhD.
It was a conversation we had with Henok at Omnipoyo that he learned that the more natural ingredients you can use, actually, the better the beer ends up. And when they're using flavorings and things like that, it's because they haven't figured out how to get the best out of the original ingredient yet, but they're always trying to, because they know the results will be better in the end.
We've been chatting a little bit, so maybe keep an eye out in the new year for
That's
a
big.
little Swedish Geordie collab. We'll see.
We know he loves the lager. That is
It's
very
good.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. So we have a rule that we don't use anything, any flavorings. So like every year I do a daft stout. So this year it was a tiramisu stout, and it was like, I love tiramisu, but like I'm gonna get cocoa husks. I'm gonna spend all my wages on vanilla. Get a bit of tonka bean to represent the what do you call the booze you put on amaretto on tiramisu? The like almost like armagnac, whatever. Like
oh my god, I should know this.
Marsala wine sort of thing. Yeah, and kind of layer those flavors up with coffee as well, rather than like we could just added like vanilla flavor in, like coffee flavor in, but like instead you spend a fortune on real ingredients, because all I want, if you go to a brewery and spending £5 on a third of beer, I want it to be like actually made of real things.
Yeah.
So we serve that on nitro in the tap room with a big head, and then we dust a bit of cocoa powder on top, which is like the
onto the head. Like cappuccino style
thing we've done. So, but it looks like a tiramisu because you get the dark and then the white and then the cocoa powder on top. But yeah, we do one daft craft beer thing a year, and that was our 2025's craft beer thing.
I'm all in on that daftness. We've had a super chat. Hi Ash, how we doing? We love you too. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for the super chat, and thanks for being a Patreon. Yeah, really appreciate it. Goodness me, Reese has finished his rattler.
Some rattler, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, thank you very much, Ash. Are you ready to go to beer number? I've lost count. Beer numbers. Oh my goodness.
Final 6.
The final beer, yeah. 6.
Beer number 6, and we'll introduce the beer, and then we'll get the Q&A going. So if there's any questions that have been burning a hole in your brain, please do ask them now. We will get through as many as we can before we either run out of beer, one of us falls asleep, or I click the button in the top right that says end stream. So yeah, send those questions in, and we'll tell us about Edge of Town.
So we've had a bit of a mission. I love West Coast IPAs. I like hazy pale ales. I don't really like hazy IPAs. So I wanted to make an IPA for the brewery, a constant rotation of IPAs, West Coast IPAs, and kind of learning to make those things. It's been a real focus this whole year is making West Coast IPAs. We usually have 1 or 2 on draft. So this was, we've had 2 more since this. So we're doing a lot of them. And yeah, this version, it's West Coast IPA with all Simcoe, single hop Simcoe. We found some really good Simcoe, and I was like, this would be great in a hobby beer. Edge of Town we've actually brewed like for a few years now, and this is just a better version of what we've been making before. So the malt bill is a bit lighter, still got a bit of Munich in for color. It's traditional ale yeast, really high bitterness. We used a few different hopping techniques and a little bit of a liquid hop product to get more kind of pop in the aroma. And yeah, it's kind of, I'm really pleased with this beer. If you like a bit of West Coast pale IPAs, it's probably up your street. It's not super clear, but I don't think that super matters. If the flavor's there for us, we don't find anything. Everything we do is find only in the kettle with seaweed, and then there's no finding downstream. If something's hazy, it's hazy. And we'll probably fix it the next time go. Yeah.
Smells lovely. Smells crisp and piney. Lovely.
It's piney, resiny, bitter, and some of those like kind of passion fruity notes that come from Simcoe sometimes.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, again, it feels obviously because it's suggested here, but there's I think it clearly comes from a brewer who is obsessed with repeatability. You know, like that balance is that bitterness is just at the top of, you know, what your palate would go. No, more. The crispiness of it as well is really precise and clean. And it's quite a pale. But how much Munich goes in? What percentage?
Quite a lot, because Munich's a lot lighter than people think.
Yeah,
I think it's 20%.
it really is that.
But there is a little bit of sugar to dry it out, which kind of counteracts it a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, the name Edge of Town is my favorite Bruce Springsteen album. I'm a bit of a Bruce Springsteen mega fan. We have multiple Bruce Springsteen references in a lot of beers. But it's also, like, I don't know. I kind of like the romance of the West Coast IPA was created by breweries like mine, small breweries, often industrial estates on the edge of town because they can't afford the city centre. So, like, I don't know, you think back, if any of the listeners went to beer like 5-6 years ago, we had to trek to like weird industrial estates on the edge of town to go and try beers at weird tap rooms with uncomfortable seating. And that's a style that no one else created but those people in those places. And that's cool and really romantic to me. The fact that like that was created there. It's not a product of like big business and big corporations. It's people with small breweries, little brew kits thinking, oh, it's just really good if we put loads of this one certain hop in at this certain rate. We make this beer that tastes delicious. And then that snowballs. And then suddenly they're Russian River. Or like, you could be from a small town and there's one brewery in an industrial estate who makes delicious bitter beers, delicious hoppy beers, and you go and try their beers. You made the weird pilgrimage on weird bus journeys and business routes, and that's how I got into beer as well. And that's kind of like, that's what I love about IPA in general, is it's a product of craft beer and people's passion towards making it, and also then the customers who went to go and drink it fresh from the source and pay over the odds for this like weird beverage. And I don't know, it's cool. So yeah, all the people who go to the weird breweries on the edge of town, this is for them.
Is it like, I feel like there's a lot of cynicism in that now? Like this, I sort of try to resist it as much as I can, and our philosophy has always been, you know, drink what you enjoy and chase what you like. You know, if you love big, silly, sticky imperial stouts, awesome, chase it down.
That's
but there does seem to be a lot of cynicism around that now, which is kind of anathema to where craft started, which was like, if you're obsessed with something weird and niche and overly bitter, according to most people, fucking go for it. That's your thing.
The thing that really like gets me gets me excited about beer is passion, right? If you have a passion about making crazy, dark imperial stouts with loads of adjuncts, I'll listen to you talk about them for half an hour. I'll drink them. I might not even enjoy them, but like 100%. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear people wishy-washy about, oh, we made a pale ale because we thought we'd have to make that. Then we made a lager because we thought we might have to make that. I'm like, I'm not going to buy your beer over someone who's hyper-focused on that one thing. Mm-hmm. Like a day hazy pale is always going to be better than somebody who's made one because they have a tap room and they have to make that thing. And I think, oh, well, we'll just shot some Citra in because they're like super focused on it. So like they have passion towards that one thing. And that's what I like. As like a maker of things, that's what I want to like latch onto and keep alive. Don't become jaded, and I think there's a lot of people who are jaded now because they have to do stuff.
Yeah, I think jaded is probably the right word for, I think, a lot of drinkers and producers to some extent, for sure. Yeah. I feel the same way about content creators as well. You know, there's a lot of people, not just in the beer space, but they create what it's not the YouTube algorithm, because the algorithm is what people want to watch. There's sort of this big myth around, you know, you got to cater to the algorithm. No, you got to cater to people, but everybody tries to cater to everybody.
Like drinking with Todd, like.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him at LCBF eating with Todd, and
I don't think he's real.
No, he's not AI. It's now confirmed, unless we're living in a VR world, and he was put right in front of me. But yeah, I mean, this kind of, you know, there's so many people on YouTube who make stuff because it will be popular. They don't make it because you know, when I put a video live now, like when we put the documentary stuff live, I'm not just thinking about the 5,000 people that will definitely watch it or the 20,000 people that will watch it over the next month or two. I'm thinking about, and it was actually Martin Cornell that said this to me. He was like, you've got to think about the people that in 20, 30 years' time will be watching that as historical evidence for something, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it counts for beer as well. I think there was quite a lot of short-sightedness in what was being produced and what was being written and what was being said about beer that didn't take into the account that we have to deal with everything that we say and we brew and we talk about in a couple of years' time. You know, if we're always flashing the pan, I had to make that because I felt like I did. It's not a business plan. That's not a cultural movement. It's capitalism, and capitalism has its place. But in 5 years' time, where does that leave you?
I don't want to be tooting my own horn, but when I was first started making lagers, there was a well-known brewer for a well-known brewery near me. They said, "Oh, this is Reese." Someone introduced him to me. This is Reese. He's opening a lager brewery in Hartlepool. And someone went, "Ha! Why?" like that sounds the stupidest you've ever heard. And then it is a stupid idea, but you know what? I liked what I was doing, and that eventually, and I knew that was eventually gonna. People like drinking lager. So if I was hyper-focused on doing that one thing very well, it would eventually catch on. People would get it eventually to catch up. People catch up to you, not vice versa. And that isn't true for everyone. You can't follow that advice all the time. But if you want to make something that's truly exceptional, you have to just be passionate about it and do it, and then trust that people will follow you. Because otherwise, we're all just making the same things. Yeah. I don't think someone mentioned Schooner Scorer. I don't think he is going to be a blinking time. But you tell you what, Big John loves Chinese. He's going to be around forever. So, a certain amount of time, hopefully a long time. But he's passionate about Chinese. So as content creators go, he's number one.
Yeah, I mean you can see it, and you know we've seen endless beer sort of influences come and go, and you can tell the ones that will stick around and the ones that won't. And yeah, Schooner Scorer's shtick is so wafer fucking thin.
So shit. Prime Mutton tried Donny's. And
what did he say?
He said he refused to review it because he was confused by it. Because someone told him it was a lager, and he was like, "Doesn't taste like a lager, I guess." So I was dying to get an absolute creamer from the Prime Mutton. But you know, your goals change. I'm glad. I don't remember him trying it, so that makes sense that he didn't give it a review. He didn't post to buy it, but he did drink a pint of it.
We should be talking about the stuff that does confuse us. That's where good content is, right? Where you can't quite get your head around it, where there's a story to be told. Yeah. You don't just go, "I don't get it, so I refuse to talk about it."
And really,
anyway.
Guinness is a lager with flavorings added and colorings added.
Certainly internationally, yeah.
So I'm just cutting out the middleman. I'm just making a lager first, full stop. So
okay, right. Let's dig into the questions. The first one is a question for me, I guess, and it's a super easy one to dig into. Why did I crack a 3-year-old Doppelbock on the vid yesterday? That's because I picked up the wrong can. I did have a fresher version of Utopian Bock, but I picked up the wrong one. James asks, are we going to see the return of Donzoko mixed firm Saisons? I've still got one or two, I think, in my stash.
Tide Vines. Not of Tide Vines, although I am still looking for some. There used to be a Tide Vines came across because there was a urban winery in Newcastle, of all places, which has since closed. So I had great access to fresh skins. No one's growing grapes up north, so it's harder for me to do that. But watch this space. We have currently in tank. We have 3 tanks for mixed firm beers. So does anyone know Scatterlings Brewery? Brett Moore from Brewer for Two Flints has some of the best mixed firm beers in England. Of Scatterlings, we have a table beer in tank, which will be out for Christmas, I imagine, either in bottle or can. I'm not sure yet. I also just want to bring more of this. So, yeah, we do a lot of saisons style beers, like more of the Taurus Bulba sort of like easy drinking, sort of smashable ones. But mixed firm style, watch this space. They're coming.
Exciting. Yeah, you're I think I've got at least one bottle of your framboise.
Oh yeah, that's so weird. That uses supermarket reject raspberries. It was like, it was this color. It was Ribena when we bottled it. Now it is this color because over time, the pigment in raspberry degrades a bit like beetroot. It degrades into yellow, so now it's a yellow beer. If you close your eyes, it smells and tastes of raspberries, but it's this color, which is super cool. I think anyway.
Yeah. I'll add it to the next drink, Johnny Dry, and we'll see yellow beer taste red.
Yeah, it's not very carbonated, but it's tasty. So
that's okay. You've seen Michael Anderson's seen a few Donzoko beers in Denmark. Are you exporting much?
Yeah, so we do basically to my friends we export. So like I've got a good friend called Brandon who works for an exporter in Denmark. So we now actually, as of this week, have a regular line in Pedders in Copenhagen. I got someone says from Malmo. I have Donny's dark beer in Pedders. You can get actually the Big Phone Trilogy in a can shop. That's what a can have their bottle shop. We do a bit to Denmark. We do a bit to Japan. And that's it, because our Japanese importer, lovely guy called Hiro, just came to the brewery and was like, my granddad has a sake shop. I've tried your beers. I think they're delicious. I want to sell them in Japan. And I was like, fucking cool. So he took over his granddad's sake shop. He imports like us, like Track Mills, like really good breweries. And I've been over to Japan twice now, drinking our beers. We did a few gravity kegs in the streets of Tokyo, which was pretty surreal. The craziest beer moment of my life was having a big foam from a wooden gravity keg in a side street in Tokyo and having 80 people in the queue to try this beer with the stone mugs. It was fucking weird. Yeah. But we have two markets we export to, and not going to grow that, maybe a little bit, but basically the places I want to go on holiday to. So.
You send a pallet ahead. Yeah, it's the old Domino's pizza trick.
Yeah, exactly.
Send a pallet out and jump on the plane.
Wrap me
in. Where does Donzoko come from? Names are hard, but I love it.
So when I was living in Germany, I was living with my friend Carl, who's still a very good friend. Speaks fluent Japanese. And we were talking about words which did not have an English translation. And Donzoko came up. And then since then, I saw it in the name of a song. I saw it in the name of a film, a Kurosawa film. And it means like the lowest of the low point of the ocean. And also like scumbag loser. And I was like, it's kind of funny. So like in Japan, people are like, why have you called your brewery like dickhead? It sounds really cool. So yeah, it's kind of a weird in joke. Also, like start from the rock bottom with one tank in a PE changing rooms in Hartlepool, dropped out of a degree. Only one way up, right? So it's like a rock bottom. Years from the rock bottom.
The lowest of the low of the ocean, though, is a mystical place. You know, like that's where great things maybe happen.
Yeah, and like also like our beers are bottom fermented.
Yeah,
cool word, and I was like, that'll do. Yeah. So we went with German branding. Originally, we were like doing lots of like German kind of copy beers, and then originally we've developed our own style. So we've kind of like pitched away from the German branding a little bit.
Again, it's I couldn't tell you what the Donzoko aesthetic is. I could just tell you that it works. I couldn't tell you what Donzoko means, but I think it works.
That's why a lot of our like marketing, I was like me talking about the beers, I guess, because like I hate actually being behind the camera. But like if you think of a brewery, I think it's cool to think of the person who made the thing, because beer is such a commodified product. Like you think of the Madri man, who's a made-up man. You think of the Moretti man, who's a made-up man. By the way, I've got a theory that Continental Men in Hats is its own branch of lager. There's Victoria Malaga, which is the guy taking his hat off and he's bald, but underneath there's like 5 hat men who run the lager market.
Oh my god!
But like having like a person behind the brand, I think is super important, who like actually makes the thing. Like I don't know. less of a personality thing, more of just like, oh, it's a real product that's made by a person, rather than a factory or a brand or a made up like mascot.
Yeah. I mean, Brad and I have made our entire living based on the idea that somebody can tell the story of that beer. So we couldn't agree more. It's like,
yeah,
beer is a product of the place it's made, the people that made it, and the people that drink it, right? And those have the biggest influences on what it tastes like and what the culture around it is. So you need to tell those three stories essentially, or else, yeah, it is commodified because nobody really knows where it's made or who's drinking it. Or
no, if we're going to do capitalism, we might as well do it with a person who's doing it. And
exactly. Put a face to this brutal regime.
This is a great question. No, sorry, it moved.
Oh. Well, sit down. I need a couple of answers. I am being from the Northeast, big fan of foamy keg bitters. I did an article about banked beer. If you Google banked beer, number one result. Banked like the bank beer. As part of that, I talk about a beer called John Smith's Magnet, which only exists in workmen's clubs in Northeast England. We do our version of it called Eston, California. It's collab with Fell Brewery. The brewer, John Major, is also from Teesside. So we just drunk the same beer. And it's a keg dark bitter with licorice root. And it is so delicious. And it's so tasty. And you can get it in workmen's clubs for £2 a pint. And I could drink that beer like forever. There's 3 keg bitters that only exist in Teesside. John Smith Magnet, Tetley's Imperial, and Worthy's Dark.
Tetley's Imperial? What the fuck?
And no one knows about this. If you read the fucking article, it's in there.
I read it. I don't remember this stuff.
It's in there. Second half. Yeah, workmen's clubs. The bitters produced by Camerons. They're like kind of brown, nondescript, delicious beers. But the addition of licorice root, which is a secret ingredient in Magnet, gives it this kind of weird sweetness, a weird kind of complexity that we try and copy in Eston, California, which is the name of a workmen's club in Eston, in Middlesbrough. So yeah, it would be John Smith Magnet. Probably also like trying to think of what we class macro as, but maybe Augustine Helles. If not, like any of the big 6 Helles would be up there. I think. There's just like macro beers would be pretty good.
Brad went rogue and jumped way ahead of the queue. I was trying to be what's the word?
We can answer. I want to answer too.
Chronological.
Tank Fresh Pilsner Urquell, always, or it's Augustina out of a bottle will do me fine. Straight out of a bottle.
Nice. It's the only way to have it.
On the street, even better.
It is the best way. On the street, exactly, yeah. From
a speti or a kebab shop. You can't get it from anywhere else. It has to be from like a speti where they open it for you, or a kebab shop where it costs you like £2.
Perfection. Sorry, Johnny, for jumping the queue.
No worries. Ash asks, what's your take on the popularity of dessert-based stouts? And do you think bitter coffee stouts are a dying breed? I'm getting the sense that Ash really likes bitter imperial stout coffee beers.
I think he's gone now, so I can safely say that the Beavertown coffee barrel-aged stout, I can't remember what it's called. If anyone could remember what that's called, that Johnny used to make. Johnny Hamilton used to do Tempest Project in Beavertown. He also used to make the barrel-aged releases. They did a barrel-aged coffee imperial stout, which was absolutely fantastic. It was the best coffee beer I've ever had in my life. It was so delicious. And I kind of, there is a kind of feeling of me where like, I'd love a bitter stout. I love a big bitter coffee stout. And that's one of them.
Wasn't it called? It was called something around espresso, Nespresso.
It was called Espresso. It was called Espresso,
was it? Yeah.
And that was really good stout. The Speedways, obviously, those big bitter coffee stouts that are a dying breed now in the wake of the kind of the pastry thing, were delicious. And yeah, But coffee is a fleeting flavor in beer. It's good one day, the next day it tastes like green pepper. It's a hard thing to get right, and I do not understand the ways of the coffee bean enough to do that to my beer. And also, like a beer which costs so much money to make is like a big stout, especially with barrels involved. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I remember Brew by Numbers made a couple of batches of really good
Brew by Numbers coffee stouts were fantastic.
Yeah.
It was in a pub in Newcastle called the Bottle Shop, which was not a bottle shop; it was a pub. And he used the branding from the distributor of the Bottle Shop, with no relation to that company. And it
was that before Bottle Shop became person non grata, or was that?
Yes. It was beforehand. And their Brew by Numbers coffee stouts were delicious. RIP Brew by Numbers.
Yes, indeed.
Are they still going?
Well, they're owned by Keystone, but it's
yeah.
all brewed at Black Sheep, and Andy Topham asks, did you pour Big Foam from a wooden cask at Hop City a few years back? Are there any more plans for lagers from the wood?
So I've never poured a lager from the wood. It is plastic, but it looks like wood, like really convincing. We fill those in the tap room. We have them on now and again for fest beer in a couple of weeks, which I'm packaging on Monday. We're getting inspected there. Is going to be poured from those barrels. Stitch fast, party barrel. Yeah, but they are made of plastic, steel inside. But they are the best way of serving lager, I think, because you have micro oxidation when you first tap that cask. The oxygen is coming in instead of CO2, and it's so much more expressive. The carbonation is so much more like loose, and it's like a tighter head, creamier pour through that little tap rather than like keg font. It's the best way of consuming lager. The best lagers I've ever had in my life have been through those beers, been through those party barrels. They're not just a gimmick. A lot of people put them aside. They're just like you're opening a cask on the bar. It's completely different. They're great. Love them. And we'll do fest beer on them in a couple of weeks. Actually, my friends from a bar in Japan called Pagale visited the brewery last week, and they've been trying to get one of these, but they can't get them in Japan. So I sold them one, and they're carrying it in their hand luggage back to Japan,
stuffing their clothes in.
But this barrel has already been to their bar in Japan, and they sent it back when we did the street tapping thing. So this is the most well-traveled keg in the world. It's been to Germany, to Newcastle, to Japan, to Newcastle, to Japan. And that's got to be like a record, I think. But yeah, we probably will do those. We're at Dark and Wild City this year. So we're going to have some dark beers that I've yet to brew, and also some crispy things to cleanse people's palates. And we probably will bring a Stitch Fast, I guess, a party barrel, party fast for the fall.
It's the Stitch Fast. This is a question I wanted to ask. Newcastle-based plus Bruce influence. Are you a Sam Fender fan?
I'm not a Sam Fender fan. I think like he's got like 2 or 3 good songs, but he does not have a banger. Like
17 Going Under is a banger, surely.
That's like the Geordie Mr. Brightside wedding song. You know what I mean?
Is it? Or is it gone? It's gone too far.
It doesn't have that, like, his chorus is, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, there's no Bruce Springsteen song where the chorus is whoa. It's always just a good pop song, like is like Born in the USA stuff. He doesn't have the pop skills to like have that like one big banger. And I thought he would with people watching, but it didn't pan out really. We'll wait and see. I'm yet to be convinced, but every time Sam Fender plays St. James's Park in Newcastle, it's our best-selling week ever for all of our customers and us. So, like, he can fucking keep going. Big Sam Fender fan in that way. We will triple sales for an average week because all of our customers will sell 5 times the lager as normal. And there's just people in Newcastle Tops going to see Sam Fender. So, yeah, like, nothing against him. Good lad. But I'm not putting him on the brewery now and again. You know what I mean?
You're still waiting. You're still waiting for that.
When he releases it,
USA moment
in the dark, then I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like for now,
I mean,
his biggest banger.
Let's be clear. He's not Bruce yet. He's not
No,
Reece.
he might get there, and like fair dues to him. He is a regular in a pub called the Law Lights in North Shields, where two of his Brit Awards are hand pulls for the cask.
Amazing.
It's cool as fuck. But they do the best pies I've ever had in my life. That framboise you were talking about, I brewed it at a pub in North Shields at a brewery called Three Kings. And the brewer there, Ewan, great guy. Just great beers, good cask beer for the Low Lights mainly. And we mashed in this weird framboise beer I was brewing because I was just making the wort there. I was transporting it back to put in the barrels. And his average day was mash in. As soon as we mashed in, go for a pie. Went to the Low Lights, had a pint of cask, pie and chips, back again for the boil. It's the way I want to do brewing. It was so inspiring to me.
Did you say 2 pies in a day? Or is that one pie?
Pie and chips.
One pie. Okay.
During the boil, we'll go back just for pints. You know what I mean? Sam Fender, Low Lights Tavern, Three Kings. It's all related.
Brit Awards on the bar.
Brit Award hand pumps. It's great, man. That's
fucking cool, yeah.
Keep cask alive with that.
Yeah,
another question I really wanted to ask: have you done any Czech style beers? Would you?
So, I like Czech. Obviously, I've waxed lyrical previously about Czech style beers. I don't hate them. I'm yet to fall in love with them in the way I have with German beers. So a lot of my brewing is like the kind of Franconia side of things rather than like the Czech style of things. I think the serving of beer in Czech Republic is so beautiful and so head and above anything else in the world. But the brewing is much more kind of like sometimes not to my taste. I don't think I like sours that much, which is maybe a big stop to my enjoying of Czech beer. I've been to Czech lots of times. I went last year to try and get into Czech beer. That was the big thing. I was like, I'm going to go for like a week and just drink loads of Czech beer and like be convinced by it because I love the country. I love the food. I love like the fact it's really reasonable over there. It's a really good holiday destination. The breweries are beautiful. But yeah, I'm yet to be like bowled over by it the way I am when I visit Bamberg. Trying to go to one a year. And yeah, every time I got to Bamberg, I'm like, geez, my beer is so bad compared to all these beers. But yeah, I don't brew Czech style beers myself. They are available, but I'm going to keep doing Reese style beers. I think Donzoko style beers, and maybe sometime I'll get convinced by Czech beers and do a SARS Pilsner. But like, it's not. It's a big thing in America now to brew Czech style beers, and a lot of the American brewers have never been to Czech. Like the same way I've never been to the West Coast of America, and I'm brewing West Coast IPA. So I think, which is a cool thing because the things can drift apart. Like we sent IPA over to America, and they bastardized it and made West Coast IPA, and that's a cool thing they've done there. But I'm not going to be brewing British Czech style beer anytime soon. I don't think.
Well, sounds like you need to take us to some places in Bamberg, and we'll find some places in Prague to take you. Well, near Prague.
Yeah, I'll always go to Bamberg. So if you're there, I'm there.
Done. We've got some homebrew questions to go through. We'll keep going for another maybe 10 if everybody's surviving. I've saved the homebrew stuff for a little bit longer. So, how long do you lager for? At what temperature do you lager? And do you pressure ferment or open ferment any?
So we lager at 0 or a bit above, between 0 and 2, depending on how hard my glycol chill is working. We don't pressure ferment anything. Anything's open fermented. Our lager yeast produces, we do a very large pitch rate of yeast, like over the top, but we produce a lot of sulfur, and I want that to be blown off until I can cap it. The only time we get too much sulfur is when I do a rice lager, which I did for a friend's wedding. I'm going to tomorrow morning. I'm brewing a Citra rice lager, and it was because of all the rice in there, the yeast was kind of stressed. It threw out a lot of sulfur, and I had to deal with it and with like copper and stuff. But like usually, I'm trying to cap sulfur in, and I do that by open fermenting and then capping at like around 10-20. We lager depending on the beer. I find like there's a kind of a weird relationship of like light lagers, like Northern Hellas. It's usually 60 days, grain of glass. Sometimes a bit shorter, sometimes a bit longer, depending on what I'm brewing, how busy we are, how it's tasting. Big form's a bit longer than that. Fest beer. So Donny's, I said, is 3 weeks. The beers in the middle take the longest. So Vienna lagers, Fest beers, things which are like Märzens, things which are like the kind of in-between colors take the longest for the flavor to get where I wanted to. And Box, I was telling a story from this old German guy. I was like, is Bockish ready when it has the Bock taste? And I was like, that's kind of funny. But then trying my Bock in tank, it tastes like, okay, this tastes like it's not ready. And something it tastes like a Bock. It has the Bock taste. I was like, that's the Bock taste he was talking about. And that's just any lagers above 5%. There's a certain time when the flavor clicks and it changes from like weird, dusty stuff. Like we have 3 tanks full of Fest beer, so that's 6 brews of Fest beer at the moment in tank. It's getting packaged on Monday. And they all have this, what I would describe as they've been tanked for a long time, like a Bock taste of like weird strawberry, bready thing, which before was maybe a banana and like dust. It's like a bready strawberry. And I was like, okay, cool. They all have the Bock taste. I tried them all today, side by side, and the carbonation levels were all over, but they all tasted like the Bock taste. And I was like, okay, cool. So they lager the longest. Dark lagers lager the shortest. Light lagers lager the medium. I'd say, yeah, between 4 and 5 weeks.
I was trying to think what the Bock flavor is, and I think, like in all the good Bocks that I've had, I get a kind of almost marzipan kind of thing.
Yes, it's like a marzipan-y honey thing.
Yeah,
like, which isn't like oxidized. It isn't like a green. It's in between.
Yeah,
and
it's
a rich,
nutty and fruity and caramelly and bready, and I do know the flavor that I definitely pick up in, I guess, long lagered specialty malted lagers. You said that yeast is a mystery, and it really fucking is. But like, I feel like the mystery gets deeper as soon as you lager it, because I've never read anything truly compelling that I know, like the science of lagering, but nothing that truly explains why sometimes 3 months isn't enough, and sometimes 3 weeks is more than enough in a lager.
And also, like the way the way a lot of UK breweries lager and US breweries, and the way a lot of German and Czech breweries lager, completely different. So German and Czech breweries are generally, before the beer is done fermenting, they're stepping down the temperature. So by the time they get to like there's 0 degrees or like around 0 where the yeast is arrested, not working, there's no sugar left. And in the UK, we're like, we'll wait till it's finished fermenting. We'll rise the temperature up to make sure it's done fermenting. Then we'll lower the temperature. So the difference is in the West, I guess in like the UK and in UK and America, we're waiting for the beer to be cleared just by mechanical forces, whereas in Germany and Czech, they're waiting for the yeast to clean up after itself, because the yeast is still working when it's getting stepped down. And that comes from, I think, historical ways, because the vessels they were building weren't pressure rated very much. So you couldn't just whack 2 bar on for it to be carbonated. Like, pressure and temperature have an inverse relationship. So, like, if you're slowly reducing the temperature very, very slowly, you're keeping more carbonation in. You don't have to put a giant head pressure on. So you can have a tank that's rated to 10 psi that can create a fantastically carbonated 2.5 volumes, 5 gram a liter CO2 lager without having super high like structures and reinforcement in that vessel. But yeah, it's a different way of where we lager. So now we do a hybrid where we ferment at 10 degrees. We don't go higher than 10 degrees. it says 10 degrees until the beer is finished. We hold it at 10 degrees for a day, and then we step down slowly. So the yeast is not, it's finished, but also not finished. In Czech, the reason why Czech beer is Dassel is because they step down the beer for temperature much sooner before it's finished. In Germany, they make sure it's finished, then they step down. In Czech, they're stepping it down before it's finished, and that means the yeast hasn't had a chance to clean up all of its mess yet. So in the finished beer, you might have some Dassel be created because the yeast hasn't like finished its job before it's told to go home. Yeah. So yeah, that's lagering. That's why we only lager for 4 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking about this forever, but I'm still working through. We're trying to do a Czech Pilsner recipe, and every time I do it, there's a million things I could change, and I'm changing too many, and I just can't dial it in. So next week I'm doing batch 7 or 8 now, and I'm still not happy with it because it's still.
These beers are process; it's not ingredients.
Yeah.
The ingredients.
Yeah, I mean the recipe hasn't changed. The process has changed 8 times. Yeah.
And it's often to do with most important things: the pitching temperature and the time you want to step down. They're the 2 things. Everything else is kind of like sugar on the cake.
Mm-hmm. Well, noted. Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I don't think I've done a step crash. I think next
you
week
get better head
first
potential if you do a step crash. That's
right.
pretty well documented. We just started doing it. We were just like set it to 0. Now I do a 2-stage thing. You get less like protein coagulation, so you get more proteins in the foam.
Right.
So hopefully in the future we just start doing it.
Also, I've been reading that you do end up with a clearer actual liquid.
Yeah.
From a step drop as well. So
we did it accidentally because we had everything chilled off bar chillers, remote chillers that were in beer cellars. We full our 35 hectoliter tanks, and they weren't very good. So everything would be step crashed. So like the reason we got known for like having really good foam was because we had not very good equipment. And then as soon as we went to this new brewery, we had
Did you have retention fall off a cliff?
We had a bad harvest in Germany with low protein, over modification, and also like the ability to crash things immediately. Like Northern House was like, it'd pour a nice pint and it'd go like, pew! And I was like, fuck, the beer's broken. Until I figured these things out. That's why I didn't brew big foam for a year, because like you've got to make sure if you've got to be a big foam, you've got to have big foam. You can't just have like a flat beer. It's all these things moving to a new place, new equipment. You're learning, you're growing with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've definitely run out of time now, folks. I apologize. I might have crashed that with some homebrew questions and theory towards the end there. But I think tonight just goes to show the amount of work and passion that has to go into creating something as unique as Donzoko and what has to go into making beers this delicious and unique. And also just proves the thing that we bang the drum about all the time, and I think Reese does as well, is just that lager's not a style. It's bigger than that, but it's also it's an approach, it's a philosophy, it's a drinkability, it's all these things that make lager, I think, the most nuanced and exciting form of beer that there is. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you, Reese, and I've learned so much in 2.5 hours that I didn't know before.
If you're ever up north, you want to come to Newcastle, I'll show you a good time. We'll have some beers, we'll have some pints, look around the brewery, some good Chinese food.
Okay, I mean, I'm in for all of this.
Yeah, sounds good.
These are all my favorite words, and
you're coming with us to Bamberg as well. It's happening.
And don't worry, this time I won't play a shuffleboard with you. And
yeah, we didn't even talk about you hustling me.
Yeah,
on the shuffleboards of North London. Yeah, I mean, we need to come up and make a film with you, because I think we can make something special and exciting and full of philosophy and homebrewing knowledge and beer philosophy as well. So it will happen as soon as we can find a couple of days to come up to Newcastle and also see the other great stuff that Newcastle has. People like Wylam have been doing incredible stuff for a long time. We've never covered it. So Newcastle is
a brewery just north of Newcastle. Fantastic farm brewery. Also, if you get the Lumo train, You can drink Donzoko on the train from London.
Ooh, train beer, yeah.
That's a big one. That's a plug there.
I've seen it every time I see those trains pull in. I'm like, oh, it looks just like Reese's cans. So yeah, I mean that is the thing we're going to do. And Brad has been forever saying we need to film some stuff on trains, drinking train beer, and we can drink a beer that's called train beer. So this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But until then, thank you so much for coming with us tonight. Thank you so much for getting us involved with the taste along. Thanks to everybody in the comments. Really, really appreciate all of your ideas and comments. If we didn't get to any of your questions, really apologize. Please do send them via email and we'll get them answered, or try and get Reese to as well if it's
if you have
homebrew.
If you have anything that's like you want to know about, it's Reese at donzoko.co.uk, and I will maybe one day reply to it.
I know that feeling. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Reese. We'll see all you folks on Wednesday. We've got our upload with Woodstock Brewing. And again, as we plugged at the start, next Friday, you can come for beers with me and Brad at Pressure Drop Brewing. There's a free half for anybody that comes of their IPA collaboration with us, which they've rebrewed, which is Force Azure, Double Pale Fire. And yeah, hopefully we'll see a couple of you there. Love and beer.
Cheers.